Welcome to the Thirsty Thursday live stream. Should we do the pano? Everybody wants to say hi?
Is this YouTube or Patreon?
YouTube.
Hi.
I like how you're like, is it YouTube or Patreon?
Right. I gotta know.
So, hey, what's up, Logan Matthias? Shalom, brother. Logan's badass. Met Logan for the first time. I think, no, was it the only time? The first, maybe only time at our first ever refuge medical class in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Was that a year and a half ago? Yeah, I know. We're so little. What's up, everybody? I just took so YouTube sent me Shalom Liberty. I just took a survey that YouTube sent me, wanting to know about my satisfaction as a content creator on their platform. So if I don't have a channel tomorrow, you know that they saw the survey. So Maximus Prepper, what's going on, man? Booger Dog, hey Booger Dog, it's been a while. Sergeant O'Reilly, what's up? Rob G, the whole family's here. Tavar, what's up? Shalom, brother.
Good old friend.
Armageddon, Sanctified Supply Co. Hey, some of y'all were asking the other day, hey Bear, what is the shirt that you were wearing in this live stream? I think it was Wednesday's live stream. Was that yesterday morning? Gosh, I've done a lot of stuff since yesterday morning. And it's the new shirt from Sanctified Supply Co. that says Moses' mother didn't comply.
Good shirt.
Good shirt. So, Patriot Plumber, shalom, brother. What's up? And so, if you're a human being that wears clothes, now some human beings don't wear clothes, but if you're one of those humans that wears clothes, you want a cool shirt, SanctifiedSupplyCo.com. I make $0.00 to tell you that. Those are just awesome people. We love them. They do all of our t-shirts now. We actually transitioned from using Teespring to only working with Sanctified Supply Co. Better quality shirt, better product, better people. So Moses' mother didn't comply. New shirt from Sanctified Supply Co. Check them out. They're good peeps. I wear my birthday suit all day, every day. I wear mine too. I just usually cover it up, mostly for the benefit of others. So we have one left in stock, and Jerry is pressing more next week.
You're a good brother.
Yeah, do what I can. So when I was at Caleb House doing dirt work Tuesday, I think it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was all the way smoked, and it was hot. And I was wearing that long sleeve Marpat combat shirt, and I pulled that, and I could sweat through it, so I pulled it off to change into another Sanctified Supply Co. shirt, and I was standing there with my shirt off with the breeze blowing, and I was like, no wonder people do this all the time. This feels wonderful.
No wonder people
Feels great, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said, like, if I get old enough and senile enough, I might just move to a nudist colony. You know,
I'm totally down with the nudist colony.
Let's go,
because
sweetie.
What was Adam thinking?
Adam and Eve didn't know that they were naked until she ate of the fruit. So,
Right.
like, humans were meant to be naked people.
Right.
I'm gonna pass.
Maybe that when we move to the nudist colony, my beard will have grown long enough
Like the
to
cover?
serve as a fig leaf. You know, cover up the dangly bits.
It's going to
So,
take some adjusting.
Yeah, I mean, you can come visit.
You
You
can
know,
just braid it into your butt
I'll throw a
first.
speedo on when you come visit, Joe.
Banana.
It'll be all right.
Into the bucket.
What's up, Chad?
Oh, no.
It just gets weird when your kids come of age. Hey, if we weren't naked, we wouldn't have kids, right? So that's on them. Hey, Bear, what mill was it you recommended? Good job, Fo. We have two. We have the Catalina mill, and we have the Country Living mill. And the Country Living, both of which I'm pretty sure would, and I don't mean this facetiously, I think both of them will stop handgun rounds. Like, they're stout. But,
Yeah.
the
Well, I think
you talk to him.
the other one, the first one that he
The
said.
Catalina one?
Yeah, I think that one is like cast aluminum
Yeah.
or something instead of but the country time one. That one's like
Cast iron.
cast iron.
But-
that one's super heavy.
Right. The
That's-
the Catalina is really good for corn. It doesn't make a super fine grit. So if you want super fine, you have to grind it twice. Whereas the country living, you can dial in and out the grinding stones in there, so you can go from like super coarse, like cracked corn, you know, 1/8 of an inch pieces, all the way down to super fine flour. But either of those reasons, or either of
When
those
it's
mills
flat wheel
are great.
instead of like tube, so it makes a finer flour.
Either of those are great reasons to have children, because it's a lot of damn work to crank the thing over and over and over again. Although we have a sister who like grinds wheat every day to make bread, and her bread is awesome. So
Her arms are pretty ripped too.
her arms are pretty ripped as well. Yeah, she puts Michelle Obama's arms to shame.
Yeah.
Also, she doesn't have an Adam's apple.
I was
So
like, yeah.
hold on. Harry Hall said the Country Mill has an attachment for making peanut butter. Done. Hey, what's up, Ducks? Hey, Ducks. The baby bear is in love with that giant bear that you gave me in Kentucky.
Oh,
She
chocolate?
calls it chocolate. It's
Yeah.
like her best friend, dude.
It is. She falls
So-
asleep on it all the time. It's like a second pet.
Yep. Thoughts on prepping for soon-to-be newlyweds? Yeah, you should be prepped like everybody else. You know what you need. Stock more of that. Then stack your food to the rafters. Get your water squared away. Alternative power squared away. Take some training. Get your medical squared away. Have some firearms. Know how to use them.
Diapers.
That's a good one. Diapers
Yeah,
and
start
formula if
prepping
you can
for-
find it.
Dude, my wife and I.
Speak from the diaphragm.
My wife and I, we bought for our baby shower. We had everybody give us Target gift cards because they were running a deal on diapers where if you spent $100 on diapers, you got $20 back. And we bought all of my kids' diapers before she was born, and then the whole like we're gonna run out of toilet paper and have a diaper shortage and all that stuff happened. And so like diaper preps are a real thing.
That's awesome.
Especially if you're not gonna go cloth.
Hey, another thing. We know a brother and sister when they got married, for everybody's gift to them at their wedding was a bucket of food.
Yeah.
So that's another cool thing. Those cigars smell delicious.
They are really good.
Somebody asked, Bear, what's the cigar of the evening? This one here is an AJ Fernandez Fallen Angel, and it's really good. Bear feeling good. Yes, currently. Subject to change at any moment. What's up, Bear Engine 1? Thursday, what's up, Ken? Franklin Farmstead says cloth diapers are a good option as well. Grind grains and cook the bread right away. Flour loses 90% of its nutrient in 2 days. Make bread fresh again. Roger that, Bowman 82. It's night and day different when you grind your own flour. And that, if you look at like the offerings in the Word, when it says fine flour, that was work, right? So you put some effort into making that flour.
Well, and the difference between like hand ground flour and like bleached flour from the store.
Yep.
Like when you get a loaf of bread and you eat that bread, it's unreal. It's so, the flavor and the texture is so much better when it's hand ground.
It's like real food.
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
it's like real food, which is interesting, you know. I actually just shot a video earlier today for Patreon called What If We're Wrong? And I won't give away all the secrets of that video because I don't want to ruin the patrons' experience, but one of the things I was talking about was quality of life. And the quality of life that we have doing things the way that we do them is higher regardless of whether or not the world ends. It also has the added benefit of being quite useful if the world ends. So. Have you tried the Panzer 12 Gen 3? It has become my favorite shotgun. No, don't be dumb. I have not. I've tried several different shotguns. My go-to is the Mossberg 500, and if you can't find a Mossberg 500, get a Maverick 88. I like the Maverick 88s. Bear, we did it. We came out of her. Congratulations, Grumpy Cripple. By the way, great name.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Congrats, man.
If the grumpy cripple can do it, what's your excuse?
Shalom, Oath Taker. Took your recommendations and got 10 Osvalor chicks along with my food storage and garden. My food security is that much stronger. Thank you. You're welcome, the encouraging community. That's awesome. Praise ya. Panzer M4 clone of the Benelli M4 is awesome. Akonaste, I'll check that out because I'd love to have a Benelli M4. I just like, bro, you could damn near build a tiny home for what a Benelli M4 costs. Like $1,500 for a shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's more expensive than a lot of the rifles that I have. Red Scout said, "Did you know that you should treat everyone like yourself, as you never know who they are?" I did know.
Yep.
A bug flew into my throat.
Something we
He
live
was
in.
not loving his neighbor as himself.
Did the fan blow it in?
Probably.
Then it was a wasp.
I'm submitting my application for the U.S. citizenship. I love this country. Awesome, Larissa.
Somebody thinks you're beautiful.
Somebody thinks I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Somebody needs some glasses. Well, thank you so much. Awesome, stay survived. Yeah, Autumn's
I
a
think
good
you're
kid.
beautiful.
I think you're
Filter
beautiful.
on.
So yeah, so I'm kind of, if you watch the Autumn interview, you know that I like boring guns. Like, I want them to work, not necessarily. I think guns that work are cool, not guns that are cool are cool. So, Bear, I'm looking into getting a 308. Should I go with an AR-10 or a bolt action? Man, I think for the average shooter, an AR-10 is going to be a better option than a bolt action. The Mossberg Patriot that I have, which is like a $400 gun, super good gun for $400. But if you're going to talk a bolt gun, to get a decent bolt gun, you're going to spend $700, $800, $1,000, and then way up from there. If you want a really good M24 or M40 clone, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You can get an AR-10 from Palmetto for $900 to $1,000, and the AR-10 that I have from Palmetto does a wonderful job. Does a wonderful job. 1 minute of angle if I'm doing my job with quality ammunition all day long. So, and the other thing is, don't skimp on the glass. You should probably budget as much or more on the glass as you do on the rifle, especially if you want to be doing good shooting at good distances. You need good glass. Most AR-10s will outshoot the user. I agree, Tabar. Somebody said, Warchild Warrior said, would you ever go on that show alone? Well, the answer to that, I can tell you empirically, is no, because I've been contacted twice to go on that show alone, and I'm on my porch, not on some godforsaken island somewhere. So, the juice is just not worth the squeeze for me. Now, Alan Kay, who is the winner of Season 1 of Alone, I've gotten to know pretty well from when I was a contributor at Survival Dispatch, and he's a great guy. Like, he's a really great guy. But it's, man, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got a homestead, I've got brothers and sisters, I've got a tribe, I've got 4 businesses, and I've got 2 ministries. What the hell am I going to go do on an island for 30, 60, 90, 120 days? Caleb House ain't going to build itself. These businesses are not going to run themselves. These cows are not going to feed themselves. So, yeah.
You can go out in the woods and be alone for a few days.
That's a great point. I do that occasionally.
before.
Yeah, I do that. The last time I went into the woods to be alone, I was like, I just need to go get some yonder. My headspace is kind of compromised. I need to go be alone. And there was an ice storm. And it was actually really cool because I was laying underneath my poncho in a poncho hooch on my ground pad on a sleeping bag with a fire that I built in an ice storm. Bless you, brother. Thank you. Reading my word, surrounded by firewood that I cut with my little silky saw and my axe, sweating in an ice storm underneath my poncho hooch, and I was like, I'm content.
Yeah, buddy.
Reset accomplished. If I can be happy here, I can be happy anywhere. So, thank you. So yeah, I do get alone regularly. I've been on the road for the last few days, and one of the first things I did this morning after I did chores was I hopped on the 4-wheeler and I went back in the woods and I went back to my spot and shot a few videos and just kind of hung out at my spot. I was like, man, thank you, Yah, for these woods. This is awesome. Right? And then I'll be back on the road tomorrow. That'll be home for a couple of days, then I'll be back on the road again. And so it's good to kind of get that balance of go into the woods and be alone. I mean, you see this all the time biblically, like John the Baptist, Yochanan, the immerser, he was in the scene. They lived outside of the built-up areas. They're like, we would rather be in the wilderness with our bros than over there in the city with the rest of y'all.
Checks out.
Yeah, like I totally get it. It's like, yeah, but there's nothing to eat. It's like, have you tried locusts dipped in honey? Like, it's delicious.
Anything dipped in honey, I feel like it's probably
For sure.
pretty hot.
It's like, but what are you gonna wear? I don't know, camel hair?
Yeah,
Like, it'll be cool.
But
But how will you bathe? Jordan River? You're gonna go baptize people? Like, stop throwing stumbling blocks. It's gonna be fine.
It's not
you
that
know?
deep, dude.
Well, and Yeshua did the same thing. You know, retreated to the wilderness on many occasions, and especially once his ministry started, on multiple occasions you see him getting away from all the people. You know, Matthew, was it 16 or 17? I think it's 16, the Transfiguration. He's up on a mountain by himself. Like, he brings Peter with him and John with him. He's like, bros, I need to just go get some yonder. They're like, cool, sounds good. Like, we'll set up the campfire, we'll set up the tent, sounds good. They're like, holy crap, he's glowing. Like, what is going on?
Why is Elijah here?
Yeah, Peter's like, should we make 3 tents? What's going on? And Yeshua's like, don't say a word to anybody. Yeah, that worked out, right?
Reads it in
There's
a book.
yeah, right. I didn't say it. I just happened to write it down for the entire world to read. So,
Put in the most helpful book ever.
2 months left to prep, says War God V.
What's
Okay.
your intel?
Yeah. What is your intel? Serious question. 1 month SHTF. If gay, Muslim, or undesirable and show up wanting to join your MAG community, are you turning myself and my group away? 100%. We're turning you away today. We're not recruiting. And also, to be a part of somebody's mutual assistance group, you need a high amount of ideological alignment. The more ideological alignment you have, the deeper you can go with somebody. And so if we are not aligned on the basic core concepts of our life, why are we doing life together? We're not doing life together. Wyatt Coughlin, happy Thursday from the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Thank you, Wyatt. I appreciate that. Thank you. Jack Richard said, dumb question. Hey, the only dumb question is the unasked question.
Right.
Now you know
That's
where I
very
stand
true.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've talked about this over and over and over again. You need the highest amount of ideological alignment amongst your people that you can get. Because if we disagree on the big stuff, we're definitely going to fight on the little stuff. Which means we're not going to get anything done.
Yep.
Which, how are we mutually assisting one another? We're not. Is it possible to join your MAG? Nope. It's not. We're not recruiting. It's not open. The only way that people get added to our group, and I can say this because we've been doing this for 4 years, is the Father moves them here. Not they move here.
Right.
The Father moves them here. Because it took me a long time to realize, like, Yah has lots of people, but not all of his people are my people. And so it's one thing to be a child of the Most High. It's another thing for us also to jive and to be able to hang out with one another and appreciate one another. And I mean, there were 12 tribes of Israel. Dan did not hang out with Naphtali unless it was Sukkot or Pesach.
Right.
Like they were on opposite sides of the camp, right?
Yeah.
They were on different areas of the Promised Land. Like they didn't collude, they didn't hang out unless it was time to go observe the Moedim, the appointed times. And that's okay. And they all had their own, they were all children of Yah, that they all had their own different vibe, different ways of doing things. And that's cool. Like, that's totally cool. And so it's 100% possible for somebody to be Yah's people, but not to be my people. And it took me a long time to realize that. So,
Matt had a good question.
would you train churches to do emergency response? We already do. We already do. admin@refugetraining.com. Matt had a good question. I just got set up with a farmer for food. How is the best way to store the food other than a bucket? Well, IBC tote that you fill with nitrogen, 55-gallon drums that you fill with diatomaceous earth and oxygen absorbers. Other than that, buckets. And I like buckets because they're portable. We have brethren that do the barrels, that do the IBC totes, and I think that's great if you're going to use it here. The issue is if we have to move it somewhere else, and I've got 2,400 pounds of something in an IBC tote,
Exactly.
and I don't have a tractor or a skid steer or a forklift to move it, then what do I do? A barrel, you're going to get 400 to 500 pounds of stuff in there. Can 3 or 4 stout brothers grab a hold of it and move it? Yeah, but it's a barrel. Grab the round part, you know, like, so.
It's a real talk, bro.
Yeah, but so buckets, your cost per pound for storage goes down the larger the poundage you put in a container. But so your cost per pound for storage in an IBC tote is considerably lower than if you put it all in buckets. But buckets weigh 30 pounds on average, 50 if it's salt or sugar or honey. Honey's super heavy, 60-ish pounds on honey. But you can still grab a hold of it and move the damn bucket. So I like that that if we've got to go, I can load up buckets in trailers in the back of pickup trucks and whatever, and we can go. So I like the portability of buckets. Other than that, I don't know, get a silo. Fill a silo. I think that'd be great to be like, this is our silo. It's got 324,000 pounds of weed in it. Awesome.
Quick, grab the silo.
Why are buckets
50
round?
guys.
I don't know.
There's square
Yeah,
buckets.
square
There are
ones too.
square buckets,
Yeah.
so
There's only so many shapes. like,
Triangle buckets.
yeah, dude, make a new one. I don't know.
is it okay to use non-food grade lids on food grade buckets? As long as the food's not touching the lid, yes.
Yeah.
So if you're using Mylar inside of the bucket, neither the bucket nor the lid needs to be food grade. So, Spartan O negative, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Ducks, thank you for the super chat. How long is a piece of string? Depends. How to deal with prescription med preps, what to do in the event you run out. So there's a couple of different services right now that offer online telehealth prescription medicines, one of which is a company called Duration Health that has reached out to us wanting to know if we want to collab, and I have not thoroughly conducted my due diligence with them yet, so we haven't collabed with them yet. But I want to get some stuff from them. I want to go through the process myself to find out, is this a pain in the ass? Is this worth my time? Is the cost right? Yada, yada, yada. Because things like broad spectrum antibiotics, definitely good to have on hand, right? If you're on blood pressure medication or diabetic medication or whatever, heart meds, whatever you got to have, then it's good to have a backlog of that. Also, you can tell your doc, hey doc, can you give me, please, 4 90-day refills on this medication? And they're like, that's a year's worth. Yep, that's a year's worth. Why do you need a year's worth? Just go every 90 days. Well, doc, I'm a little concerned about supply chain issues. Have an honest conversation with your doc. They'll hook you up. 9 out of 10 people I know that have done that, the doc has hooked them up.
Yep.
So,
I did that when I had my surgery. I had to have a steroid drop in my eye. And I went to the doc and I said, hey, a lot of weird stuff going on right now. He's like, yeah, right? Isn't it crazy? And I was like, yeah, can I get like 2 large bottles of this steroid instead of just like the 1 small bottle? He's like, it's going to be more money, right? I was like, yeah, that's kind of how it works usually. And he's like, all right, cool, I'll write the script. I don't care. Like,
There you
I
go.
trust you. If you don't look and act like a junkie, they're not going to be like, oh, you want a year's worth of antibiotics?
yeah.
Right.
You must be a junkie. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, and a year's worth of eye drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, these go for a lot on the black market,
Right,
doc.
yeah. I'm not selling it on the underground. It's 2 bottles, bro. The return's low.
Let's see. Sawson said, doctors 100% understand. Been doing that for the past few years. It's business on both ends after all. I agree. And here I am buying fish antibiotics. Ha ha. Hey, you can do that too. I mean,
Right. Fish get sick all the time.
if my fish ever get sick, I am good to go with those sick fish. Like, I'm on board with that.
Also, learn natural medicine, too.
True.
That's a big thing. Like
Also, preventative medicine.
Yeah.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I actually turned my doctor into a prepper. Well, there you go. JDP said, what is a good way to find out your blood type without going to the doctor's office? Get a blood typing kit. They're like $20.
You can buy them on Amazon.
You can buy them on Amazon. Or you can get a birth bucket from refugemedical.com, and you'll get one in there as well.
And
3 of them, actually.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, they're readily available. Readily available. You just basically prick your finger and you put some blood on the card, and based based upon the type of Rorschach design that the blood makes on the card, you then determine, are you A positive, B positive, A negative, B negative, O poso neg, AB, so forth and so on. So, Bear, talk about beyond mag associations like underground networks and say passages through Bear Nation. Ducks, that's kind of a big thing. We'll probably talk about that on Patreon. But a lot of that comes back to networks, which most people wish they had, a few people think they have, and very few people actually have. And then it's vetting. And a lot of vetting is done by word of mouth. If Brother Jody says to me, hey, this guy's good, I know this guy's good. If this guy says to me, hey, I know Brother Jody, he's good to go, I'm like, hey, Jody, is this guy good to go? He goes, I don't know that dude. Guess what? That guy's not good to go anymore. So a lot of it's vetting. Because even amongst the Bear Nation, again, ideological alignment, we have some ideological alignment, right? All of us who are here to some level have ideological alignment. But not all of us are precisely the same. And that's a beautiful thing, but also a risky thing in times of potential chaos. So, let's see. Backwoods Basson said, have you tried the Shield Arms magazines for the 43X? If so, what do you think? I haven't tried them. I own them. And I got the kit from Shield Arms for the 43X that comes with 3 magazines and a metallic mag release.
They're bomb.
So I've heard from multiple people they're the bomb. But looking at the construction of the magazine, they look awesome. So,
Saucy.
Bear Independent, when you started businesses, who mentored or influenced you? So I started my first business when I was 17 years old because my dad was out of the picture and my mom was on strike with the phone company for 2 years. And the motivating factor was starving to death sucks. So I started cutting firewood, then I started felling trees, then I started cutting timber. Then I got my ISA certification, the International Society of Arboriculture, and I developed a tree business. And then I sold that when I was 22 years old for 7 figures, and I never looked back. But my dad, to the extent that he was in the picture, my dad was entrepreneurial my whole life growing up. And a lot of what I know how to do is by making the mistakes to now know what not to do. So I don't do the things that don't work, and I try and do the things that do work. So the motivating factor is, for me, it's the pressure to perform, because the ramifications of not performing are too high, right? I got people who depend on me. The thing is, that's the thing that works you up to executing. Like, I have to execute. So you feel the pressure and you let the pressure motivate you so that you can execute. But then when you're in the moment to execute, you need to not be overwhelmed with the pressure. You have to turn that off so that you can just execute. You don't need to be ideologically married to the outcome. You just need to perform. And if you just perform, the pressure is what motivates you to get into the position to perform. Then when it's time to perform, you turn all that off and you just perform. And then when you're done executing on that scope, you breathe a sigh of relief and like, sweet, we got it done.
Well
Then
said.
tomorrow, you feel the pressure again, and then you go back to work, right? And so it's kind of that push-pull between I have to get it done and now I'm actually getting it done. When you're in the moment of getting it done, you can't beat the shit out of yourself, otherwise you're not going to get it done at all.
Yep.
You just got to make stuff happen. And so it's kind of a dynamic relationship there. When you're in the moment, be in the moment. Make shit happen.
I need that to be a shirt.
Yeah,
Be in the moment.
be in the moment.
Can y'all not have users?
That's 600 seconds, Toby.
I know.
Was it all ants?
I don't know what it was.
No,
Oh, yeah,
I
we're
was
just
like, we
on
were
his
timed
ass.
out.
There's no-
Sit down. You're being weird.
Bear, I just started a traffic control company struggling to secure contracts. Tips. What's up, Joshua? Well, we were just talking about this before we went live. The last business that I started before this one, I was working in the power construction industry. And then somebody said, make calloused hands great again. There you go.
Yes.
I was working in the power construction industry, and I I quit working for somebody else and I started working for myself. And I had $10,000 saved up, and I bought two $3,000 trucks, and I took the last $4,000 and bought tools. And I loaded out the truck with tools. Then I started calling everybody I knew in the industry. I was like, give me your worst jobs. If the gate to your project site is crooked, I'll come straighten your gate. If the down guys on your towers are slacked out and they need to be taught, I'll come tension your down guys. I'll do that for you. Whatever. If you just need a hole dug over here, I'll dig a hole for you. I don't care. Whatever it is. And in that first year, I secured 17 contracts. And the first few were not big contracts. A few grand. Go over here, do this thing, submit an invoice, get paid. Cool. Okay. But my overhead was also super low. Just go do work. Go do work. And like I said, I called everybody I knew. It was like, give me all the shit work that you don't want to do. And I will do it, and I will do it with a smile on my face. There's also a biblical principle here. Let everything you do be done unto Yah. Right? If you're going to dig a ditch, dig the best damn ditch you ever dug. Right? If you're going to frame a house, frame the best house you've ever framed. If you're going to control traffic the best you've ever controlled traffic. Let everything be done unto Yah. Right? And then what you're doing is you're building a track record of dependability with those clients. And he who can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. And now all of a sudden you're not straightening the gate anymore. You're not dealing with the slack down guys. I literally, after about a half a year back into the power construction industry, was asked like, hey, you know how to put up turbines, right? Like, yeah, that's what I did. I was a project manager. Like, you want to put up more turbines? It's like, not really. What are we talking about? They're like, one-offs. It's like, dude, I will do all your one-offs. And I started doing one-offs. And then I met my wife, and she was like, hey, I do construction. I was like, no way, you're too cute and cool to do construction. And she was like, MF'er, come to a job site with me. And I was like, whoa, you are all that and a bag of chips. Let's fall in love and do life together. And we did. And here we are 11 years later. So if you don't have contracts right now, reach out to people, network, work your network. And if you don't have work, you're not too good for work. If you have a traffic control company that needs to go dig ditches, go dig ditches. Like, what were you going to say, Fo?
What is traffic control?
So attenuation, like the road cones and the signage and all that's on the roads when road work's being done.
Do they place them out?
You ever seen, what's that?
The ATSA.
ATSA?
Yeah, it's like a major organization that controls all that.
Yeah, if you're not working too, the thing is, there's no downtime when you're not working. Go get your tools, your garage, get everything straightened out, lined up, cleaned up, organize your stuff so when somebody calls you, you're ready to go.
That's a really good point. So when I was working for my dad growing up, just to what Jody was saying, there was no downtime. If you had completed whatever your managing person had told you to do, whatever the foreman or superintendent had told you to do, I got this done. And this was like before the time of cell phones, right? So it wasn't like, hey boss, what do you need me to do? It's like, if you're unsure of what to do next, brooms and shovels are real. Clean up.
Yep.
Like clean up the job site, police the trash, sweep, work a shovel, check the fluids on the truck. I carry a can of WD-40 in my truck.
Everything.
And I got that from my dad because all the tools, spraying down all the tools, like my dad's whole thing, a pair of 9-inch Klein line pliers, should be able to hold one handle and wiggle it back and forth, and they should open and close like this, just with this motion. If there's more tension than that on them, they ain't lubed enough, right? So go through the truck, lube everything up, clean everything up, so forth and so on, right? And so if you don't have work right now, you're not too good for work. Go find work, whatever that work is. And also, if you just started a traffic control company, this is something else. Like, when I started Refuge didn't feed me. Okay? Refuge still doesn't feed me. Like, I don't draw a salary from Refuge. I had other things that I was doing that allowed me to pivot to Refuge. And so, oftentimes, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, where people think, I'm going to go do this thing, my first sales goal is going to be 100,000, and then 1 million, and then 3 million, and then 10 million, and I'm going to blow it up. It's going to be awesome. That's not often how it works. Like, you got to grind that out. You got to earn that money. And especially in the world that we're going into, cheap money is going away. Like, it's going away. The liquidity, the velocity of money is going away. So you need to be worth the effort for people to hire you and then some. So you need awesome customer service. You need awesome quality of work. You need an awesome product. You need to be awesome. Excellence is something we were talking about recently. Excellence should be the bar that you set for yourself and everybody that works for you. Let everything you do be done excellently. So, I'm 62, kids come to me for instructions at work, they don't listen to the boss. Well, it's good that they come to you, but they should also listen to the boss, unless the boss doesn't know his asshole from his elbow. What do you think about the new fuel-injected chainsaw from Steel? Ghost Man, I've not run a 500i. I want to run a 500i. I told the brother that I know at the Steel shop I want a 500i, and he's been telling me the same thing for a year. That's cute, can't get him because Steel has worldwide supply chain issues right now. What do you got, Pastor Bob?
All right, so the running tree business, 500i is a really cool saw. The fuel injection aspect is awesome. You do get a little bit more power. 661, you do still have more power, but it's a little bit heavier. And to me personally, like, you cap out at a 32-inch, like, well, you can run a 36-inch on a 500i, but not totally recommended. And at that point, you might as well just get the 661.
Yep.
Like, the technology is awesome, but unless you have a 661 and you have a 490, a 492 or something like that, it doesn't really make sense to have the 500i because you're kind of shorting yourself. Just if you're running that type of chainsaw, because that is an absolute pro saw, you should just be running 661s. In my opinion, the parts are more readily available. You're able to work on them easier.
I was gonna say that.
Also, with the 500i's, there's a computer in them that actually monitors every pull that you do. So it's like a right to repair, proprietary repair. So you're not gonna be able to work on it the same way that you would a 661. You can pull a 661 apart and work on it like it's any standard chainsaw. 500i is a completely different ball of wax.
Yep.
In my personal.
You need a 19 millimeter, a 10 millimeter, and a T25 torque bit. You can tear that saw apart and put it 100% back together. I mean, you're talking a new gasket kit, $12. You can completely tear that saw down and put it back together. 661s are awesome.
Yeah.
As a second witness to that, I've had a 066 Magnum. How old am I now? 20 years. I've had that saw 20 years, and that thing is still a beast. I ran that saw in Kentucky when that 8 Days of Somebody crew showed up with that tree that was through the house. T27. Thank you, Travis Fleming. You're correct. T27. But a T25 with enough down pressure will get the job done.
Yeah, if you give her the beads, you'll get it.
Yeah, those 0.2 millimeters. Depends on how much you
And then
got.
when you strip it and get pissed off, it's fine.
Oh well, to that point, the 660 doesn't have a factory screw in it,
God,
or the 066 rather.
That checks out.
But I ran that 066, which has been ported and tuned 15 years ago in Kentucky, and that tree. 32-inch bar on it, and I had to bite it from both sides, so it was probably 36, 38 inches diameter. And that crew, because it looks like hell in a handbasket, man. It looks terrible. The plastics are all old and faded, and it looks terrible.
It looks dope.
That's how you
Bro,
know.
you fire that thing up,
No.
it sounds like somebody just rolled through your neighborhood on a motorbike. Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And those guys are looking at me like, I don't know about this. Other side, undercut, and cut the tension with, and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's a pro saw, homie.
Yeah.
So, second witness for sure on the 661, and now Ken actually blessed Grindstone with a 661 with a 32-inch bar on it. That thing's an animal.
Dude.
Great saws.
Sounds like you got a YZ25 in your hands.
Yeah, dude, it feels like it too. It feels like it.
My 661, like I keep a 25-inch bar on it because I don't standardly I don't always need a 32 or
Cut down
36.
4-foot trees with that though.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is aggressively powerful.
Mhm.
And I literally have run chainsaws for a living.
Yep.
And still, man.
Oh yeah. Hold
that
on
shit-
to it.
Yeah, it doesn't play.
So I have a 20-inch bar and a 32-inch bar for my 066. That 20-inch bar on there, forget it.
Yeah.
It might as well be a laser beam. It just straight through stuff. It's so when you watch like the steel timber sports games and they do the stock saw races,
Yep.
where they're racing the standard chainsaws, not the V8s with the big handles on them. The standard saw when they're doing stock saw races, it's a stock chainsaw. Those are 661s,
Yep.
and they're animals, man. They're absolute animals. So
And I don't think people understand, like, the crazy thing about that, like, series of competition is it's not a competition of who can cut the best. It's more of a competition of who can sharpen their chain the best. Because the sharpest chain is what standardly wins. And so a lot of people are like, my saw's not working. Well, you're probably not sharpening it correctly, because if you run a sharp chain, like a sharp chain on a 25-inch bar and a 661, it is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
You will rip through 30-inch wood like it's paper.
oh, dude,
You'll send
100%.
ships 3 feet in the air.
Dude, so my feet get covered in a pile of sawdust when I run the 066. Within a couple of seconds, I can't see my feet anymore because of the chips. And so that's a great point, because most homeowners and even semi-professional chainsaw operators run dull chain. You need sharp chain. You need to know how to sharpen a chain. And probably the best resource for that period is just go watch Buckin' Billy Ray. He's got dozens of videos on it. He knows what he's doing, whether you're going to round file or square file. He talks about how to take the rakers down, how far to take the rakers. That's another thing. Even people that know how to sharpen chain never touch the rakers. And they're like, it's a sharp chain. I don't know why it's not throwing chips. It's because your depth gauge, your raker, the cutting tooth sits here, and then the raker comes up here. And the gap in between the raker and the cutting tooth determines how big the chip is. Well, as you file the cutter tooth back, it drops down to here. If you don't take the raker down, we now have a disparity in the spacing between the cutting tooth and the raker. And so for me, brand new chain, brand new out of the box steel RS super chain, full chisel. I'll take a flat file and 2 passes over the top of the raker because the saw can pull it. And then every time I file, round file, I'll take 1 more pass with the flat file on the raker so I can maintain that space in between the cutter tooth and the raker, so I'm getting big fat chips. But you should only do that if you have a powerful saw. If you do that on like a small homeowner saw, where you're expanding the gap in between the raker and the cutter tooth, you're going to bog down. You might injure yourself.
Yep. But
Buckin' Billy Ray, great guy, great heart, knows pretty much everything there is to know about felling timber and running chainsaws. And he's got lots of videos on how to file chain. But you have to file chain. And I super prefer just a round file, a 7/32 round file, to the little spinning grinding discs. Because what I've found with the grinding discs, when I cut timber professionally, I had a bench grinder for sharpening chain, and I would use that to square the cutter teeth back up, and then I would still go through and hand file. And the reason for that is what I've found is the friction from the grinder, whether it's a little Dremel tool or a bench grinder, the friction wears the temper off the cutting tooth. And so those cutting teeth are hardened steel, so they hold an edge. You wear the temper off, they become soft steel. It doesn't hold an edge anymore. And so even if you're going to grind, just to square your cutting teeth back up, take a file and then touch it back up with a file so you get back down to hard steel again, not that soft steel that you made by removing the temper from the friction of the grinder. So, sorry, I know like a couple things about chainsaws. Made my first million with a chainsaw, and that's not an exaggeration. So.
I back the rakers down every other sharp.
Okay.
So, standardly, what you should do before you ever, like, after every time you use your saw, you should, in theory, sharpen it because you're going to dull it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's more dangerous to have a dull saw. But every other time, I back the rakers down. That's like a rule of thumb. And I might not do every one. I just might do a pass with a flat file, just a little something. But if you constantly are examining your chain, you should examine your tools all the time, especially when you're using them and it's a dangerous tool like a chainsaw. But if you're constantly examining your chain, you're going to notice a defect, or if you need to either replace it, or maybe you have a broken raker, because you can just replace a raker. You can pop it out.
Yep, pop the rivet out, run a new one in. That's a good point too, because depending on how dull the cutting teeth are, that is going to determine how many passes you take with a round file, which determines how many passes you need with the flat file on the raker.
Yep.
So, because sometimes that the pass that I take with the flat file and the raker is just a little gentle, just one.
Yep.
Sometimes it's, you know.
You're like taking all
But
that
so,
metal out of there.
yeah, so there's an art to it. There's a
really
feel
is.
to it for sure.
Oh.
So
Super chat.
I wouldn't want to be in this group. They will turn you in. Watch what happens. Oh, garden grower, I've already turned you into the CIA, FBI. You're fixing to be swatted, man. You go crawl under your bed, grab your ass, and start praying to Yah because it's happening.
I know they were doing so good.
That's all right.
No, they already said once that like your people aren't God's people. Yeah.
No, they were fine, and then they like flipped.
Oh.
So
Hey, listen, your God's probably make-believe. I believe in the God of the Bible. I don't give a shit.
yeah, we've had a whole discussion.
What's up, Dr. Trevor? I can literally identify a saw by sound Bear can literally identify a saw by sound 200 yards away. True story. Yes, that's correct. We were sitting on a brother's porch, and he's like, "You hear that chainsaw?" I'm like, "I do." He goes, "What do you think that is?" I said, "Man, that sounds like a Husqvarna." And he said, "You think so?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I think that's a Husqvarna 460 Rancher." And he's like, "No way, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And the guy's porch we were sitting on and goes, "I'll text him and find out." I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a Husky 460. He texted the guy. He goes, "How'd you know that?" I'm like, they just all have a different sound, you know?
They do.
It's kind of like, well, when you hear a motorcycle going by, you're like, "Oh man, you know, that's a Harley V Twin 800 or whatever." I don't know shit about motorcycles. You know what I mean?
Knowing a truck by its horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes like a big truck, you're like, "Oh, that sounds like a P379 long hood, right? With the 425 in it." Yep, here it comes. It is, and so that's the thing, like. I've been around chainsaws a long time. I've made a lot of money with chainsaws. Only cut myself 3 or 4 times with a chainsaw. Done a lot of sketchy stuff with chainsaws.
Ditto with
So-
Harleys.
Yeah. What's up, White Fox? What does God consider to be a marriage? What defines being married
Oh
in
God,
the Bible?
I've already answered it.
When you put your pecker in the front
Sex
hole,
equals
you are married.
marriage.
So,
He gets one more, and then I'm gonna swark him.
Kid.
Duck, I already answered your question. Hey, well, that's a good point. That's a good point. First of all, so we're 47 minutes in. We haven't addressed the rules yet. The number one rule is, hey man, be chill. Okay? So the people above you and below you in the chat, that's your brother and sister, act that way. So don't be a jerk. Like that's the number one rule here. The number 2 is put your questions in caps. Hopefully I'll see them. If I do see them, if I want to answer them, I will. If I don't want to answer them, I won't. Another point, if somebody with a blue wrench answers your question has been answered. So you might want the dopamine rush of Bear answered my question on the internet. You might not get it, man. And you don't need the validation of me talking to you through the internet. It's cool, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but we are surrounded by a wealth of knowledge here on the porch. And a lot of the questions are redundant. So how long have you been growing your face bush? Great question. Well, this particular face bush, I think since fall. I think fall.
My goodness, bro.
Yeah, I think Sukkot.
Sukkot.
Yeah.
Right about Sukkot.
Damn it, man. This is 2 Sukkot ago.
Right about now.
So, I
Right about now, the bush
Listen,
is so rubber.
I'm
So fluffy.
I'm super Germanic, okay? Like my mom was like off the boat German. She was actually, my mom and my aunt were blood sisters who were adopted from a German family who came to America. And so like 100% German, I'm 50% Germanic, right? And like growing a beard and like swinging axes is just, it's literally in my mitochondrial DNA. So, and I'm a furry dude, man. They call me Bear for a reason. I'm a fur ball. So, but it's interesting because I'm also a quarter Native American, and like my dad had like jet black hair to the day that he died, and my dad couldn't grow a beard to save his life. Well, I got mom's jeans. CCW inside the waistband holster recommendations. Man, just find a Kydex company that you like. It's super commoditized. What?
I don't fucking know. Sorry.
Are we good?
Yep.
We're good.
Do I need to yell at
No,
somebody?
we're good.
Okay.
We're on.
All right. So the clips and the kydex and all the stuff, it all comes from the same manufacturers. Shalom tactically, Torah. It all comes from the same place. So just find somebody that makes an holster that you like and get one. I have so there's a company called Defensive Retention Concepts that supports this channel. They're good people. I have several of their holsters. I have several Bravo concealment holsters. Although I've broken a couple of them. It just, hey man, cover those things up, man.
The ears are ears.
Katie Lynn looks like Renee. Wow, I've been gone a while. Hey, what's up, Jay Moore? Shalom.
That's hilarious.
All kinds of things have changed here.
Yeah.
Litter picker. The man is such a prepper. He has cordage and fishing line growing out of his face. That's right.
That's true.
One of the 5 C's of survival is cordage, and I can make my own right here. I'm gonna weave it into strands for river crossings.
Straight paracord.
That's right. That's right.
Doing late night fishing tonight.
You know, some of y'all are too into this show. I could probably put some of this on bearindependent.com right now. Like a tufted bear's hair, $100. I bet you it would sell.
I think you're too
Oh,
low.
that's me. Don't do it.
Too low?
Don't do it.
We
Hey.
wanted to make a life-size pillow of him.
Bear, stop
That's-
growing the beard
that's
so it
in the
grows
making.
on top.
No.
That's true, Ozark Geek. Shalom, brother. It is migrating. It's migrating from up here to down here, but I don't care. What is this? Lagunitas?
Mm-hmm.
Bless you, brother. Thank you.
It's decent, huh?
Not bad. What's up, Isaac Barrett? Foam in the beard.
For Caleb House. No.
For Caleb House. Nope. We're not doing the bear pillow because I'm worried that one of y'all weirdos is going to cut a hole in the bear pillow and do
no.
unrighteous things to it. And that's
Oh,
just
no.
going to be weird. I don't want
I
you
know
to-
you've gotten a lot of like you're beautiful and
I know, right? Like, what's going on here?
Gorgeous.
Just
Follow-up
Yeah, you're
question.
gorgeous.
For others,
He's
do you
married,
think a
just
mag based
slack all
around
those.
values of the Constitution work survive, even if not all religion, 100% ideological watch? So, Brandon, it depends. It depends on the people that you're dealing with. I value constitutional ideals highly. I think you all know that. And the thing to understand with the Constitution is it is a document written by men that understand that authority comes from God.
period.
Right? That's what it is. And it does not grant liberties, it secures liberties that already existed that come from the Creator. And so, again, ideological alignment, is that where the people that you're trying to form this mag land on the subject of the Constitution? You need to decide for you how much ideological alignment you need in order to be comfortable with other people, to bring them around your wife and your kids and onto your property and to train together and to coordinate and to share information and intelligence, because it gets pretty complex pretty quick. If I didn't truly trust the people I do life with, they could ruin my life that fast. I mean, that fast. There are 3 people that work within my organization that know everything there is to know about me. That tomorrow morning I could wake up and all of my bank accounts could be emptied. And you know what? That's business. That's trust. I trust those people. And again, ideological alignment. We all take super seriously, thou shalt not steal. And because they take super seriously, only 3, right? Because we take that seriously, and I know these people because we do life together, I don't have legitimate concerns over whether or not these people are going to ruin me. And if I ever do have those concerns, they're not legitimate. That's the enemy. Right? Rebuke that shit and move on. Rock piles are real. Amen.
Period.
Oh, dude.
So I've told Katie Lynn on several occasions, I was like, look, if you're ever going to drain my bank accounts, just let me know where we're going
Right.
when we run away. That's all I need to know. Like, what's the plan? That's all.
Oh,
Amen,
goodness.
Flo. Those people would also take a bullet for
Amen.
you.
And I
Yeah.
would take a bullet for them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to understand when it comes to ideological alignment. What is a mutual assistance group? Well, it can be whatever you want it to be. It could be a bunch of people that sit around and drink coffee and talk shit about the government once per month. Or it could be people that you literally trust your life to.
You can't even label what we got, bro.
No, tribe is almost too cheap of a word.
Way
It's
too
family.
cheap. Yeah.
We are family. We
Yeah.
are one giant family.
Yeah.
And PJ said on a video recently on Patreon, he said there's everybody in our crew, in our tribe, we would, like, if you needed me to watch your kids, got you, bro.
Yep.
You watched my kids the other day. You're like, because we were out of the house, we had to do some stuff. You're like, hey, by the way, I made some dinner for the kids. I'm like, dude, that's badass. Thank you. Right? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's that level it's that depth of a relationship. Preview of your talk on Sunday. We were talking about community and the great segue. We're talking about community and the importance of community and how to build community and why you need people. That's what we're talking about. Ozark Geek, absolutely an amen. Agreed, brother.
Yep.
Cap Cloud, thank you for the $5 bill. Appreciate you. Brendan Lamb, thanks for the responses. Highly respect them, even though we may differ. You seem like a good man. Keep it up. Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Right on, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's decent.
That's a man response.
Yeah, that is.
Yep, that is a man response.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
correct. Hey, and I think that's important to understand too. Like, I'm not here to tickle anybody's ego. I'm here to speak truth as I understand it. I feel like I would do a disservice to y'all if I didn't speak truth as I understand it, because we're having a good time hanging out on the porch, but I think the stakes are too high for me to be disingenuous with you.
Period.
Not only spiritually, because the Father will beat my ass if I am disingenuous with you. That's a fact, right?
Yes, it
if
is.
not in this life, in the next, He will beat my ass.
Just do it now, too.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And he's good at it. Like, he knows my address. He knows where to find me.
Yep.
But also, so spiritual ramifications aside, which are the prime consideration, what about worldly considerations? If I give you bad info, I'm still working on this one. Thank you, brother. If I give you bad info and you take that and run with it, has that made you better or worse in your effort to be prepared? It's made you worse. And so, like, there's no clickbait here. There's no popularity contest. I'm going to sleep great tonight, whether y'all like me or not. And that's just a fact, right?
The guy I was on the phone with, I think it was yesterday, said you've never given bad info.
I appreciate
Everything
that.
you've said has been 100%. That's why he watches.
Well, I take that seriously, and that's great info. Thank you. But I take it seriously because I know that even if it's 10% of you that are really paying attention and really doing the things, what a disservice I do to the 10% of you that are listening if I'm just going to say shit that I think people want to hear. That's completely wrong. Also, we could take a poll of the brothers on the porch who know me pretty well. I'm incapable of saying things that I don't believe. I'm a terrible liar. Like, horrendous liar. Like, you will know if I ever show up here and start bullshitting you, you'll be like, there's something wrong with Bear. Like, his eye is twitching and he's sweating and he can't look straight at the camera and he's like, heart's all like this about to pop out of his chest. I'm terrible at it. And so, why? Why bother?
Isn't that why you started the channel?
Yes, that is why I started the channel, because there was bad information out there, and I didn't want good people to die because of bad information. And so, I'm not saying that the information I have is applicable to everybody, but I am saying I know it to be true because we've done it. Like, we don't talk about stuff we haven't done. Let's see, who's this? Raul Duke, just because. Bless you, brother. Appreciate that. I'm gonna get my fat thumb out of the way and not add you as a moderator and or block you. Why are those two things right next to each other? I actually added an asshole as a moderator last live stream because I was like, oh snap, go back, fix that.
Shut the channel down.
G.I. Jopez? That's actually a good name. I mean, he might be an a-hole, good job, Badger, but that's a good name.
That's what that's saying.
G.I. Jopez.
G.I. Jopez is the real American hero. And remember,
No.
kids, knowing is half the
I
battle.
think it's the real Mexican.
Nine is half of the battle. You know? You know the battle, man.
That's true. The real
Joe
American
Biden
essay.
Trying to move this.
Gun age long. So, there's been a lot of questions. There's There's been a lot of questions thus far about how do I feel or my input on all these gun laws that are being quoted right now. But, again, I'm bad at lying, so let me just speak straight to you. I'm aware of them. I'm tracking them. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I don't require another man's permission or approval to exist at all. I'm not a criminal. You can make me a criminal with the swipe of a pen, but talk about an illegitimate, delegitimized government. Oh, you can't have 30-round magazines. Come and get them, asshole. You can't have assault weapons. Best of luck.
What part of
You
the government
can't clean
isn't
your
corrupt
guns.
right now?
Oh, I can't clean my guns?
Yeah.
Watch me.
They just passed that in the House. It is because you're not a manufacturer, you can't disassemble, clean, and reassemble your firearms. It's going to the Senate. From what I heard from Gun Owners of America,
So the implications here, ramifications here. This beer's hitting hard, man. Implications, ramifications
You're
here.
welcome.
Will 51% or more of the country become criminals overnight? Maybe. Well, what happens when they take all the guns? They're not taking shit. You might feel compelled to turn them in, and if you do, shame on you. Hoagie Storm Chaser, hashtag I do what I want. That's exactly. There's another brother that knows me well. How many times have I said that? People
Love
ask
you,
us all the
Hoagie.
time. They're like, "What do y'all do? Whatever we want." You might make me a criminal with the stroke of a pen. That doesn't mean I'm going to comply with your ridiculousness. I'm going to continue to do what I want to do, because what I want to do, praise Yah, is righteous and legal in the Father's eyes. And if something's illegal in the Father's eyes, it's illegal to me. If it's legal in the Father's eyes, it's legal to me.
Yep.
And if the government, the worldly government, decides that this thing that's legal in the Father's eyes is illegal to them, that's an unjust law. And I don't give a shit about it. If they decide that this thing that is illegal to the Father is legal to them, I don't know. What about these drag cross-dressing, kids? You hear about this in Dallas?
Dude.
Children at a cross-dressing strip show? Dude, every one of those people should have been arrested. Every single parent that brought their kid. If I brought Aspen to a titty bar, I'd be arrested and CPS would be all over my ass right now. Right? But no, we're going to bring our children to the drag show at the titty bar so we can normalize.
They had kids dancing on stage for money.
Yeah, they had children dancing on stage for money while cross-dressers were grinding on them.
Line me up.
What?
That's
And-
happening,
yep.
bro.
In
They want
Dallas.
that better,
Oh, Texas. In Dallas. Well, Dallas isn't Texas. Bullshit. I used to live near Dallas. It's definitely in Texas.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
Rock.
so my point is, just because something might be legal
Hashtag
according to
Oakland.
man, if it's not legal to the Father, it's illegal. And so, all authority comes from the Creator. It is distributed to, it is gifted to righteous men to act justly with it. And if they don't, I don't care. I will not respect it. Bear, are you going to be in Camden both days or just Sunday? I'll definitely be there on Sunday. Saturday is the Shabbat. We may show up and hang out for a little bit, but I'll definitely be there on Sunday. Have you done any winter survival training? And if so, what is your best piece of advice? Your ranger role is going to suck shit in the winter. You need an actual sleeping bag, and you need to stay dry.
4 seasons.
And carry lots of calories, and have multiple ways to make fire. So,
Good advice. All the way.
things like that make me want to run away, but it's all bad everywhere. It ain't bad right here, homeboy.
That's not happening near us.
Nope.
If it's bad where you are, leave.
Yeah, so, yeah, like Foe said, if it's bad where you are, leave. Camden, New Jersey,
Not gonna get better.
negative. Camden, Tennessee.
Oh.
I don't go to
That's
New
not
Jersey.
Camden, Arkansas. That's
What's up,
terrible
Hunter
down
Kirk?
there.
DL, we have a few, if any, righteous men and women in government in all areas. Well, I've talked about this before. I don't want to jump in this rabbit hole. But the machine is broken. If you throw kittens into a meat grinder, cats are not going to come out. Okay? What's going to happen is ground up cat ground up kitten is going to come
Chicken
out.
nuggets will come out.
Yeah, chicken nuggets will come out. That's exactly right. So the machine is busted. You can throw all the good people into the machine you want. The machine is broken. The end result, it's rigged. The end result, you're not going to get what you wanted. You're going to get a ground up piece of trash.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a good next sticker. A rock pile. Says everyone's sorry on the way to the rock pile.
Yeah, that's
We've
a
been saying
sticker,
that
bro.
forever.
That's a good sticker.
Yeah,
That's a good
Like
Alex
that
saying all
started-
that.
Sticker about rock pile.
Everyone's sorry on the way to the rock pile. That's
Yep.
right. What's up, Kat? Still trying to escape California. You can do it, Donna. Do it.
Come on, man. I did it.
Don't be a millstone candidate. I agree. Millstone. So there's certain things that even according to Messiah are worthy of death. You shall stone them to death. And our stones, these stones go 1,400 feet per second.
Or 1250.
You do not want to be a millstone candidate. Not even a little bit.
And what's crazy about that verse, a lot of people overlook, it would be better
Uh-huh.
for you to get the millstone
Uh-huh.
than Yeshua get his hands on
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you. Dude,
He's gonna whip
Amen.
your ass.
dude,
Yep.
flaming sword, my guy.
Yeah.
It would be better that we tie a giant rock around your neck and push you into the ocean than for Yeshua to get his hands on you.
Dude, that's
And that's from the mouth of Messiah. It's not like, well, Paul said, or we're
No.
pretty sure.
No.
Like, straight up,
This
it's
is
a quote.
SOP, Messiah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a prime directive, man. It's a direct order. Sergeant O'Reilly, David
Dude.
used a rock, we use a Glock.
That's
Which
a
has
t-shirt.
that shirt
That's
made
a t-
from Sanctified Supply Co.
that's
Yeah,
the commander's
that's
intent.
Just Sanctified on here, they should be taking notes.
Devin, you should email us. We got people in California.
Yah has
Good people.
Yah has a huge soft spot in his heart for kids and their well-being. Yes, he does.
Yep.
So the first command, be fruitful and multiply, make kids. Deuteronomy 6 verse 5, moving on, like you shall raise your children up in the way that they should go so they do not depart from it when they are older. Super important. Be better that a millstone was tied around your neck than you hurt the least of these. Super important.
What is it about the orphan and the widow?
Forsake not the orphan and the widow. Super important. Like Yeshua says, you should be like these children, right?
It's a
su-
thing.
Super important. Like kids, you don't mess with kids, and if you do, millstone.
The disciples were told to be like these children, and now we have literal sodomites trying to make the children be like them.
Mm-hmm.
This is how demonic forces work. They pervert the true gifts of Yah, and it's disgusting.
Oh yeah,
It's just appalling.
disgusting. I agree. It's demonic, man. It's 100% demonic. So let me get my hands on those people. I'll just leave it at that. One daughter and 4 sons, youngest is 16 and works 30 hours a week in a sandwich shop. Good job, Wind Charmer. Raise them up in the way that they should go.
Right.
I was working full-time cutting timber at 16 years old. Started my first business at 17. How can I find a local Torah observant community for fellowship? 119ministries.com, fellowship finder. 119ministries.com, fellowship finder. Check it out. Tamiel, bless you. And Google, that's another one. Yeah. Search for Torah in your zip code. See what you find. Hey, what's up? Following Yeshua Shalom, brother. We need a lot of millstones to be tied to a lot of people. I agree, brother. I agree. I agree. There's a ministry I support in Southeast Asia. There's a couple of them. One of them has a horrendous arrest record, and that's intentional. They don't arrest people.
Which I'm grateful for.
Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down here.
Praise God.
They don't arrest people.
As much as tax dollars are spent, maybe that's one less thing we can spend them on.
Well, this is in
Great
Southeast
coloring.
Asia.
You got a mail like that? It would be
And you know who's the number one offender? 119ministries.com. The #1 offender in Southeast Asia, American expats. Americans, men,
Might be there.
going
going
shopping for boys and girls. And every one of them, every single one of them needs to die. Yes, I said that on camera. That probably violated all kinds of community guidelines, and I don't care. Every one of them needs to die. You hurt the least of these. I have no remorse. I have no love for you. I feel nothing other than you need to go. It's a lot like when I butcher an animal and today's the day. You just need to go. Today's the day. That's it. Because they're animals. You are subhuman at that point. I don't know. And this whole thing of people are like, well, I'm not sure if I should come out of her, my people. I'm not sure if I should come out of Babylon. Like, do you realize what you're perpetuating by participating? It's a bad deal. Now, bad things happen everywhere. But I'll tell you what, there's going to be 0 drag queen story times at our local school. 0. It's not going to happen. Right? Praise Yah. Not going to happen. There's no strip clubs for drag queens to strip with children in where I am. Not going to happen.
You know, and the cool thing is that's not like an us thing. Like, we haven't like gone and had to speak on that issue. Like, just where we are, the community here, it's like, yeah,
That shit ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, that's a no-fly zone. You will have a good old boy in a pickup truck with a shotgun there in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Oh, yeah.
Probably like 20 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So quality of life, like, yeah, I can't get a pizza delivered here, but I also don't care. Like, there's lots of things I don't have to worry about being here. Traffic, not an issue. Abominations, not an issue. So, what other questions we got? What's up, Vester Dylan? Shalom, brother.
I did see that Alabama authorities shot a guy trying to get into the school to
Good.
load a gun.
Yeah. I
Shoot
saw
them
that
twice.
too.
Hope they
Pretty sure they
filled them
smoked
full of holes.
Yeah, they smoked him.
Yeah. Taking a dirt nap now. Waiting for judgment.
Weed is a sin in moderation. Oh, man.
No, is
Yes,
weed.
we do.
There's a question. Is weed a sin in moderation? Depends.
What your motives are.
Depends. So if your goal is to alter your state of mind as a coping mechanism, first of all, what's sin? Sin is transgression of the law. So what law are you breaking? I could easily make the argument Leviticus 19 verse 2, be set apart as I am set apart. And so sin is relative to the behavior. J. Nelson, sin is transgression of the law. 1 John 3 verse 4. Read it. We don't get to decide what sin is. If we do, now we're the Elohim, we're the God in the relationship. And what does that make us? Pagan assholes, which means we're going to get smote at the end of an age. Which is that you're not following Yeshua, you're not following Jesus if you get to decide what sin is. Okay? You're not a servant of Elohim, you're not a servant of God if you get to decide what sin is.
The
That's
Creator sets the standard.
That's exactly right. The Creator sets the standard. And so, in certain cases, weed has been used medicinally to help a lot of people that are in a lot of pain, that are having trouble eating, that have anxiety, and it works for them. But if you abuse it, if you alter your state of mind because of trauma or hurt, or because you need the escapism, or because of some type of dissatisfaction in your life, there's an underlying issue that you're addressing with pharmakia by altering your mental state with a chemical, even if that chemical is natural. Cocaine's natural. Cocaine comes from a plant.
Right.
So, and believe me, I put a lot of that shit up my nose. That was not righteous. So, the root of the question really is, why are you doing it? And
She's super.
I see you bouncing. You want to say some words on this?
No, I'm thinking about it.
Thinking about a month of that.
I mean,
Good, because I got to pee.
So-
We're still in it.
I'm a retired drug user and alcohol user, and like I hang out with people who occasionally enjoy weed and occasionally enjoy an adult beverage, and it doesn't really bother me because I know that I used it in a sinful way and it wasn't healthy for me and it didn't bring me closer to the Father, and I used it in a way to change my mind state. 2 Peter says, be sober and alert, for the enemy, the devil, is like a roaring lion waiting for someone to devour.
Amen, brother.
And so if you're consciously and consistently altering your mind state to a point where you're not sober and you're not alert and you're allowing the enemy to come in, he's going to devour you. And the way lions work, the reason that metaphor is so powerful is they seek out the weakest member of the herd and they attack it. And so if you're weakening yourself and you're not allowing yourself to be strengthened under Yah, then the lion's gonna devour you. And for me personally, the weakest I ever was when I was in my addiction, which then allowed allowed my whole family to be overtaken by the enemy. And so, you know, it's different. It's not a yes or no question. It's a you question. And I think that's how I feel about it. That's why I was shaking about it. That verse was just like on my mind.
Thank you, brother.
If you're using any substance to escape.
Speak up.
So, from experience, if you're using any substance, whether it be sleeping around, shopping, just buying stuff to make yourself feel good, drugs, alcohol, whatever, if you're using that to kind of escape and get your endorphins or feel-goods going, there's some part of you that's broken.
Amen.
And the only one that can fix that is the Father.
Amen.
He's the only one that makes any of us halfway whole. And fall on your face and ask him what truth is, man, and start seeking that and not the world's understanding of that.
So,
It's okay to be broken.
Yeah,
It's okay
absolutely.
to have problems.
Yeah.
Just don't stay there. Find a way to fix it. Find a way to move on. Find a way to grow.
Don't get stuck in that rut.
So I was gonna say, your sins have created a separation between you and Yah, right? And so sin is transgression of law. Shall we sin all the more so that grace may abound? No. Yah forbid. God forbid
Yeah.
we continue to sin, right? And so those sins create a separation between us and the Father. And we know sin cannot exist in the presence of the Father. Hi, Waze. It's good to see you.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, Jody gets a high five and I don't get a high five?
You better get him some.
It's cold. It's cold, man. Double? Up top. Oh, good job. Thank you. You have a good day today?
He's so
Can we go swimming with everyone?
Can we go swimming with everyone?
Yeah, like right now.
No.
Not right now.
Right about now.
Live stream from the pool.
Right about now. Whee! Did you eat dinner?
Yeah.
What did you have for dinner?
French fries and chickies.
French fries and chickies. How many chickies did you eat? 19.
100.
100?
chickens? No wonder. Is that where this came from? Is that what that is? Yeah?
Serious protein intake.
What's your brother and sister doing?
Shine left.
I disappeared.
9 disappeared. Where'd she go?
She went into your stomach.
She's in my stomach?
Yes, she has a secret portal.
She has a secret portal into my stomach.
Yeah.
This is pretty important. How come I just found out about this?
Because I just told you.
Oh my goodness. Can you write me a full
He is so
report on
happy
the
to be
secret
here right
portal
now.
into my stomach, please?
Yes.
It's like, hi, everybody.
Alright.
Alright.
Go on,
do
baby.
stuff.
Go play with Bub.
Alright. Oh. I love this.
I think
Go do stuff. I'm gonna let Sam eat you. Yeah. Let him eat you right up.
I'm going into the secret portal. I'm going
Alright.
in your stomach.
So, your sins have created a separation in between you and Yah, right? And so you don't want to continue to sin It is super easy to be lawless when you're under the influence of substances.
Yep.
Ask me how I know. Like everything becomes about filling that God-shaped hole,
Yep.
and you're filling it with everything but Him. And you can't fill it with Him because of the separation that you've created. And so the first thing you need to do there is teshuva. You need to repent. You need to turn from your wicked ways. And then you need to confess to Yeshua, to Messiah. And you need to ask for forgiveness. You need to ask for that covering of blood so that you can remove that sin from your life and then come back into the presence of the Father. And that's
Lady.
that's an everyday thing. That might be a 10 times per day thing. I was listening to a lecture from a rabbi a few weeks ago. And I listen to Christian lectures and I listen to Jewish lectures. I listen to all kinds of lectures, right? Any commentary on the word that I can get that'll help me grow stronger, I'll listen to. And sometimes I'm yelling and sometimes I'm agreeing, and it all depends, right? But this Rabbi Mizrahi, Jewish guy, was talking. And he was saying, he said that Adonai, see, Hashem, they don't say the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. They don't say Yahuwah or Yahweh or Yehovah, or they don't say the name, the Tetragrammaton. They'll say Adonai, Hashem, El Shaddai. And he said, Hashem forgives the righteous man even though he stumbles 7 times per day.
Oh, man.
And it was like,
Bam.
boom, boom, bear down, right? Because we're all human, right? But in that moment of stumbling, we've talked about this at great length. King David, in that moment of stumbling, what do?
Turn to
I'm
it.
stumbling. Do I just fall down and wallow in my own filth? Or do I cry out for help and turn to Him? Right? Because we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. None of us can walk this life perfectly. That's why we have an intercessor. That's why we have a Messiah in the first place.
Amen.
But shall we sin all the more? Shall we purposefully stumble so that grace may abound? No. God forbid. God forbid we do shit we know we're not supposed to do. So, is weed a sin? How are you using it? Is it bringing you closer to Yah, or is it moving you farther from Yah?
Are you making an idol out of it?
That's a great point. Are you making an idol out of it?
What do you reach for first in the morning? Yah or the substance?
Great. What do you reach for first in the morning? Yah or that substance? Great point. I remember clearly the day I quit doing coke. It was a Tuesday morning. I woke up first thing in the morning. I rolled out of bed. My feet hit the floor. And the first conscious thought that I had was, I'm out of coke. I need to get more coke. And then my second conscious thought was, it's Tuesday morning, asshole. No, you don't. And that was it. That was the last day. And man, the next few weeks were freaking rough after that. And still to this day, like,
I know that Tuesday morning.
yeah, your environment is stronger than your willpower, right?
Ugh.
I don't go hang out with people that do coke because it's just a matter of time. You put a pile in front of me, like, I can't stay here because it's just a matter of time, right? And so your environment's super important as well. Don't put yourself
Everything
in a
else on that
situation.
list is the same.
Amen. Question, as it relates to Christians, if conservative Supreme Court justice is offed, what red lines for churches before enough in your opinion? I don't even know how to answer that. If a conservative Supreme Court justice is offed, that's a huge indicator. It shows, A, there's an active leftist insurgency in the company / insurrection in the country, which we know already that's happening. B, illegitimate governance. C, massive threat indicator. If we are now hypothetically in a world where people are offering Supreme Court justices, I'm not listening to a word any of those people have to say. You've lost all legitimacy at this point. Like, and there's an active insurrection. Butter or margarine? Butter, bro. Butter's real. Margarine's not.
Yeah, we're at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, we're there. Just most people are not. They're not tracking on it.
somebody brought up a great point. The church's red lines don't exist.
Right.
Like
That's
we've been, the church has been
They've
allowing
already been there.
abortions.
Mhm.
The church has been allowing and propagating.
Well, they got red lines.
the
If you fit in their
LGBTQ.
box or not.
Right. Like the church's big
Yeah.
thing is like
Yeah.
it's hyper
Throw money in the
grace.
basket. You
It's
think you're
come as
awesome,
you
you're in
are.
their box.
Don't change. Throw money in the plate. Like I think that maybe you should adjust your definition of church to what Messiah's definition of church is, which is his body, and that's just a group of his people. Like we've been having church. We're sitting here going over sin and the word and like truly trying to move in the spirit. That's church, man. Just because somebody's not wearing a suit up in the podium, like
That's
we
made up
don't-
shit right there.
we don't need that. That's not biblical. It's not.
Hey, I love every one of y'all. I'm not wearing a suit in the church to give your eulogy if I have to. I'm not doing
Please
it.
don't. Just let it be over like somewhere in the woods. over
Dude,
here.
we are going to roast 12 sheep
Yes, sir.
for you,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Like,
My requirements.
what's that?
You know my requirements.
Oh, nudist colony?
Nope, everybody's gonna come with the dad joke.
Yes, everybody's got to come with a dad joke. On board. Great point you make. Like, how do you define church, right? Because our church meets in the woods half the time. A lot.
Yeah.
Apparently
A lot.
most of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of time there's more sheep at our church than there are
Yeah,
people.
like literal sheep. Yeah.
Shot load.
Oh man.
And that's a really important
sheep
point.
up there.
Church is not a building. Church is not a building.
Is that done? Just yelling shalom.
I think so.
Shalom, Dad.
Go ahead. Ready? Set.
Go.
Shalom!
82, you got it, bro. Church is not a building. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst. Which, by the way, is Torah. It takes 2 or 3 witnesses.
Yes, it does.
Oh, imagine that. Yeshua teaching Torah again. Who'd have thought? So, yes, that was me. I couldn't tell if it was you or an owl crashed into a tree. So,
Well, okay, so with that rabbi,
Hey,
right?
grab me a handful.
Hashem will forgive you the righteous man 7 times.
yep.
Bring it back to Yeshua when he was coaching the disciples. How many times should we forgive a brother? 7 times 7?
70.
No, 70 times 7.
Seven.
Yep.
That's right.
Dude, Yeshua was like, you will forgive a brother. You will walk alongside them as they
Yep.
stumble.
How many times is that?
But 490 times.
That's right.
Which means all of the time.
All of the time.
But the thing,
491, you're cut off.
but the thing is too.
That's hard to do in a day.
The thing also is, who's a brother? A brother has to conduct himself as a brother, right? And so it doesn't mean that brothers don't stumble. We all stumble. And we're supposed to confess our sins to one another and bear each other's burdens, right? Like when we stumble, I'm supposed to go to a brother and be like, hey man, I'm having a rough time. I need help, right? We're supposed to do that. That doesn't happen very much in the modern church. And who's your brother? Because, yeah, I don't want to dive into that rabbit hole. But suffice it to say, it's not necessarily the person, that guy over there, right? These are my brothers. I have a different relationship with my brothers than I do with anybody else. And that's biblical. There's a clear delineation between the Father's chosen people and everybody else. Do you think the Jews, not Messianic, are going to think the Antichrist is the Messiah? That's a great question. Well, the spirit of delusion will come. But if you've been reading along with me or on your own, hopefully, in Revelation, just read about the 12 tribes, Revelation chapter 7. That'll be coming out this Sunday. And there are 144,000 sealed in the forehead. And if we look at what sealed means, I don't want to give away all that video, but Yeshua was sealed for his belief in the word of his testimony in John chapter 6. And so these people that are being brought out of the 12 tribes, which are a different 12 tribes than what you get in Leviticus, by the way, and Exodus, by the way, because Dan's not there.
Not there at all.
And there's a whole, I have a whole conversation around where did Dan go. In fact, I was sitting in this spot the evening after I shot that video, and I was talking to my wife, I was like, shit, I forgot to tell him what happened to Dan. And so there's like a 25, 30-minute addendum video to like, hey, this is what happened to Dan. 1 Kings chapter 12, this is what happened to Dan. But anyway, these Jews, righteous Jews, that you see as the 144,000, 12 from each tribe, they're sealed in their foreheads for their belief in the word of their testimony, right? They keep the commands and they follow Yeshua. Well, that's pretty indicative right there that there are some people, and remember, Judaism, and this really muddies the waters. Judaism now claims, rabbinical Judaism now claims that they are Israel. There were 12 tribes plus the Levites, asshole. You don't get to be all 13 tribes. You're Yehuda. You're the Jews. Awesome. Congrats. You're the Jews. Comma. There's 11 other tribes plus the Levites. Now we know Dan's not there in the end. That's still 11 other tribes, right?
Yeah.
And so talking about Israel as being Jewish is completely biblically disingenuous. And it's one of the foundational issues that I have with rabbinical Judaism is that the Jews are not Israel. In fact, if you read the book, you end up with the two house. 1 Kings, 2 Kings, going to Chronicles, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. There are two houses, the house of Israel and the house of Judah, which gets back to the renewed covenant in Hebrews chapter 8 that is so new in the New Testament that it's copied word for word from Jeremiah in the Old Testament, right? But Hebrews chapter 8, and I shall make a covenant with them, not like I made in the days when I led their people out of the land of Mitzrayim to be their Elohim, but I will make a covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And so the house of Judah, the Jews, the Yehudim, now claiming that they are Israel, that they are the entirety of Israel, is completely biblically disingenuous. Yeah, huge rabbit hole. But there are righteous Messianic Jews at the end of an age that are sealed in their forehead. They get it. They understand that Messiah is Messiah. But many will be deceived, Matthew 24. And many shall come in my name, see that you are not deceived. There will be many in end times that believe that the Antichrist is the Christ. And who is the Antichrist? People ask this all the time. Are you ready? Are you ready to be pissed at Bear? Rex had a phenomenal video about this on Patreon yesterday. And so I'm not stealing any of his thunder, but I agree explicitly and implicitly with everything that he said. Who is the Antichrist?
Oh, Jeremiah 31:31. Oh no, that's a good one.
The Antichrist is the man of lawlessness. From the mouth of Paul in the New Testament, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. The Antichrist is the man of lawlessness.
Good one.
So, who's the man of lawlessness? How about this guy that we keep saying came to do away with the law?
Not biblical.
How about this guy that we keep saying came to do away with the law? That was nailed to the cross, son. I've got news for you. The man of lawlessness is already here. He's just not walking in the flesh yet. And it all comes back to original sin. Hasatan in the garden. Did God really say, don't do that? Did he really say?
Yeah, 100%.
And because the believers that claim his name don't know what God really said, they will fall for the great delusion that's prophesied in Revelation 6. It's not George Soros, y'all. You're not picking up. You know what? That's okay. I'm not going to get upset about it. We're not going to jump in this rabbit hole. Some of y'all are picking up what I'm putting down, and that's okay. Some of y'all aren't. And for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, so be it. That's right, wayfaring farmer. Those that don't, so be it. But the Antichrist will deceive many. And by the way, if you're a Christian wondering why you can't minister to your Jewish brethren, it's because they know the Torah, they know the Old Testament, They know that the Messiah, the prophesied Mashiach ben David, the Messiah ben David, is a righteous king who sits on the throne of David, who restores the law. And so when you keep telling them that Jesus is the Messiah, and by the way, we nailed the law to the cross, they're like, can't be the guy. He can't be the guy. He biblically cannot be the guy. There's no way he's the guy if he did away with the law. Is there power in the name of Jesus? Absolutely. I've rebuked demons in the name of Jesus. With that being said, let's look at the structure of that word. Jesus comes from the Greek Iesus, Son of God. Son of God, Iesus. He was not the son of Zeus. He's not the son of Zeus. He's the son of Elohim. He's Elohim, not Zeus. But because of Roman paganism, it was translated Yeshua, which means salvation. It was translated as Jesus, the son of Zeus, which became anglicized into Jesus. There's no J in Hebrew, homie. And read Matthew chapter 1. He was a Jew. He spoke Hebrew. He was a Hebrew man. He was a righteous man. God made flesh. Righteous Jewish man. There's no J in Hebrew. So his name was, and this is another thing with Christians ministering to Jews. The Jews say, many of them won't even speak his name. They'll call him JC, or in a derogatory manner, JC Penny. F all that. I don't appreciate that. But they'll say, he never even existed. Because if you go and look at the census, which if you read the Gospels, at the beginning of each Gospel, Mary and Joseph were going up to Jerusalem, for a census. There's nobody on the census named Jesus the Christ.
Yep.
Because there was nobody named Jesus, and Christ is a title. His name was Yeshua, or Yahushua of Nazareth. That was his name. And so we've gotten so off of biblical truth as the church now that the Jews are weaponizing that against us to say that your Mashiach, your Messiah, never even existed because you don't even know what his name was. So, we'll leave that at that for now.
Mama San was on.
Mama San? What's up, Mama San?
Shalom, Coach Ned.
What's up, KD? Hey, Bobo, can you turn that light on next to you, please?
It blew over. I don't know if it's still working. Oh,
Ah, praise y'all for LEDs. Thank you. The Adventures of Pagan Z. Damn. Yeah, man, I will destroy all of your false paradigms, especially if you're a self-described pagan. And don't worry, I can appreciate the position you're in. I'm covered in satanic tattoos. I play drums in satanic metal bands.
Bad count is on.
If it's an entity or an ism, I've investigated it. If it's a major world religion and a lot of the minor ones, I've investigated it. I've researched it. Some of them I've tried on for size. They're all horse shit. And especially paganism. Okay, you're going to worship the creation rather than the creator. You're going to worship, Norse gods. Yeah, they're addressed in the Bible. They're in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, the men of renown. You're worshiping things that were created rather than the creator. And that's not going to get you very far. You're not going to the source of power. You might as well just go hug a tree. Go lick the ground. What religion are you? I don't believe in religion. I believe religion is horseshit. It's man-made doctrines and dogmas. I read the Bible and I do what it says. I am a follower of Messiah to the best of my ability. I'm so Christian that Christians don't like me and the Jews hate me because I believe that they missed out on Messiah. And then we get into the Noahide laws here that Shannon B said, which most of the people that are even aware of the Noahide laws think are some type of Jewish conspiracy to enslave the entire world and make them follow the law, which was nailed to the cross that we don't have to do anymore because of the blood of Mashiach, the blood of Jesus. Horse shit. The Noahide laws were basic rules on how to people, aka the Torah. It's governance. It's interacting with your brother, interacting with your sister, being a basic, decent human being. So. Yes, stay survived, I would. Genesis 6 verse 4 addresses that. The men of renown. Can we be forgiven our sins? Absolutely, if you cry out to Messiah and ask him to remove those from you, and if you truly mean it in your heart. you will have a conversion. If you teshuva, if you turn from your wicked ways and you beg the Father to cover you with the blood of the Son so that you can come into His presence, yes, you can be forgiven your
Amen,
sins.
brother.
But you can't continue to whore. You can't continue to do all the things that you were doing. You are made new. And if you're not made new, you didn't mean it in your heart. Now, again, praise the Father that He forgives a righteous man even as he stumbles 7 times in a day. Doesn't mean that we don't all fight our battles, but you're constantly trying to walk better. You're constantly trying to be better, to walk closer to the Father. What other questions we got? What's your thoughts on Buddhism? F that nonsense.
Somebody would shoot it.
Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Yeshua says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. So, and if you want to get into like some like deep heresy, go research the Baha'i faith that thinks that Yeshua was an ascended master along with Buddha and along with Muhammad and along with all these other people. That is 100% heresy, and those people are going to get absolutely, utterly destroyed at the end of an age. And again, these are my opinions. You can agree, you can disagree. That's fine. We live in the United States of America, where I still have a constitutional right per my First Amendment to think and feel and believe and be convicted as I see fit to do so, and to worship as I see fit to do so. And I have a platform, and I use it. You're welcome to build your own platform and use it to whatever effect you see fit to do so as well. But again, I'm really bad at lying, and I say the things that are on my heart because the Father will not let me not say them. So.
Really talked about it, but they missed it. Are we going to be in Camden?
Yes, we will be in Camden, Tennessee this weekend. I'll be speaking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday the 12th. SelfRelianceExpo.com. What's up, Palmetto? Yeah.
And then somebody's asked a bunch. Importance of sleep and the number of watch standards needed.
Sleep is a combat multiplier. You need a minimum of 2, preferably 3 shifts for security. The more the merrier. Sleep's super important. It all comes back to people. You need people. You can't secure a suburban home in a nice neighborhood with just your family.
Bro, I'd herded your sheep this morning.
Yeah, you herded my sheep this morning. Thank you. I heard about that. Appreciate you.
It takes a village.
You're not going to not do it.
Somebody
Yeah.
said that wayfaring, is it hard to walk the Hebrew path? No, Yeshua said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Come to me, all ye who labor. Like, it's a blessing.
It's so simple.
It is hard to walk the Hebrew path if you want to be worldly when you do it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're like 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in His way, that's what Yeshua was talking about, right? Don't have one hand on the plow and
Look back.
Okay? But once you give into His way and His truth, Messiah's real truth, what He taught, which was it actually is pretty simple. Like, you abide by more laws in the United States than what Yah put on paper.
Dude, in your own county.
Yeah, in your own county, right? It's what you were actually created to do. Like, it's as if you had a missing puzzle piece in your heart.
Yep.
And by submitting to Him, He puts that puzzle piece in, and you're like, oh,
Everything
gosh,
makes sense. I'm
finally.
Yep.
whole again.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Gosh,
That's
dude.
it.
It all makes sense now.
It's like all the doubt and the fear that you had when you weren't doing it goes away. It dissipates because of the confidence of Messiah in your spirit, dude. It's so raw.
And He starts
It's so
renewing
real.
you and making you new again. And like once you start that renewing process, you don't want to go back. You know, you
Yep.
don't want to go back to that old life. You're like, it's almost appalling that you live that way. You're like,
Amen.
wow, like I can't believe that's the person I was, and look where He's brought me. What? You don't want to go back to that. And the second that you think, oh, maybe I could just, no, I can't. No, please,
Yep.
let me turn back because that's real.
Yep,
That
like
stuff happens.
like a dog returning to his vomit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many
Yep.
people are
It's like
lost.
you recoil for like as from a hot flame, man. You're just like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, so many people clutch on that addiction because they're trying to fill that hole.
Yep.
And they're lost.
Yeah.
So when you find that hole, you're picking at everything you can.
Yeah.
And that's just the wrong way to live.
Well, let's look at this. Like, what are the Hebrew ways? Like, super basic, right? Hey, eat food. Don't
Yep.
eat trash.
Yep. Seed.
Yep. Well, and the zit, I think, come after you've made a commitment. Because the reason you wear the zit, Numbers 15, verse 37, is to remember and do all the Father's commands. Well, I think first you should have an understanding of what those commands are. And they're pretty basic.
Yeah.
Start with the Sabbath.
Yes.
Moedim,
Yes.
it's the first of the appointed times. If your dentist said, hey, you have an appointment at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, you'd be there. But when God says, I will see you on Shabbat, you're like, hey, I don't know, the grass really needs to get mowed, and Tina has a soccer game, and there's a sale down at Target I really want to hit. It's like, okay, so you're willing to be in submission to your dentist, but not to your Redeemer and Creator of the universe. Okay, horse shit, right? So start with the Sabbath. Start keeping the Sabbath.
It's one of the 10 Commandments.
It's one of the 10, that's exactly right, the fourth one. And by the way, for all of my fellow Sabbath keepers, I have a little rebuke for you as well. The first half of that command is 6 days ye shall labor, comma, the seventh is a Sabbath of rest unto Yahweh your Elohim. So if you're not getting after it 6 days a week, you're not keeping one half of that command.
Yep.
And it's a double-edged sword there. Like you have to be about your business 6 days a week. And there's a lot of people, mini rabbit hole. They're like, yeah, the Jews are so wealthy, they've amassed all that wealth. I get 52 more work days per year than you.
Yeah.
Because 6 days you shall labor. And
That's
you're like,
right.
well, on Saturday we're going to go to Billy's softball game, and then on Sunday we've got church, and then dinner with Grandma.
And
It's
even
like,
if you're pulling OT, you ain't getting blessed with that overtime.
Amen. Amen. Right? So start with the Sabbath, right? And then you start keeping the Sabbath, which
You're
is
gonna get
which
tax
is the
death on it.
wedding ring of Yah. It is a sign between the Father and his people.
Part of our covenant.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
The Sabbath. So start with the Sabbath and start eating clean. Read Leviticus 11. Don't eat all the shit that it says not to eat. Because and people say, well, I can pray over anything and make it clean. Well, first of all, you can't because you're not Elohim.
Nope.
He said what food is, not you. Second of all, yeah, I can go pull the filter out of my air conditioner and eat it. Is it going to be good for me? Look at, logically with your mind, logos, use your Greek brain, your problem-solving brain, and do a study of all the things he says not to eat. They're parasitical cul-de-sacs. They are the filters in your HVAC system. It's like pulling the filter out of your truck and eating it and going, well, I prayed over it to Jesus and he blessed it to my body.
Steak sauce, it's fine.
Yeah, I threw some A1 on it, it's good to go. It's like, bro, that is a Fram air filter full of shit. Like, well, it's clean to me. Well, Acts chapter 10 says, have you read Acts chapter 10? It's about people, and in case you're not sure that it's about people, read all of Acts chapter 11 as well, because it's about people. Well, Matthew 15, the Messiah says it's not what goes out of a man's mouth, not what goes into a man's mouth that defiles him, but what comes out of it. That's about ritual hand washing and rebuking the Jews for their horseshit doctrines and dogmas of men. It's about ritual hand washing. The first verse in the chapter and the last verse in the chapter talk about ritual hand washing. That's what Matthew 15 is
Outside
about.
Your bowl looks awesome. Your
Right,
house
yeah.
and yard look beautiful.
Yeah,
Everything's organized, but your life's a wreck.
That's right. Woe to the Pharisees. They are like whitewashed tombs, right?
Yep.
And so, Shalom, Texas T.
Texas tea.
And so start keeping the Sabbath and start eating clean, Leviticus 11, right? And then the feasts, man. The feasts are, and by the way, you're going to feel better when you're eating food, not garbage. You're going to feel better when you're resting on the cycle that the Father ordained for you, which for us, we keep it sundown Friday through sundown Saturday. If you've ever gone to Refuge Medical during that time, you've noticed our website's down. You can't buy stuff during that time. We're not doing business during that time. And the Father has blessed our businesses because of that. Which, by the way, is in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. Read the Gospels carefully. In every Gospel, and it says, and Yeshua was in the temple on the Sabbath preaching, as was his custom. Yeshua kept Shabbat. He was reading the Torah portion. When he says that I'm Messiah, when he's reading Isaiah 42, he says, today this prophecy has been fulfilled in your hearing. Yeah, he was reading the Torah portion for the week on Shabbat. Like, what would Jesus do? He'd observe Shabbat and go to the temple and read the Torah.
Brother.
That's what he would do. And so, this man of lawlessness, coming back to the antichrist, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, the man of lawlessness is already here. He just hasn't taken fleshly form yet. And so many people are going to be deceived. It's going to be ugly as hell. How many people don't get it? And then I would say the last of these things, right? First start with the Sabbath, then start eating clean, then start observing the feasts. Dude, they are an absolute blessing.
In that
If
order.
you think that pagan Easter is a good time, observe the Pesach. There is nothing more powerful when you say I'm covered by the blood of the Lamb, and you are literally covered by the blood of the Lamb, and it's like it's like a funeral procession. There's nothing more powerful. And then you do unleavened bread, where you remove the sin and the false doctrine from your life, right? For a week, an entire week,
Always.
set apart. And then you observe first fruits, where you're giving up these worldly things and you're acknowledging that Yeshua is the first fruits of the resurrection, and you're praising Yah with everything that you have, and you literally, we did a burnt offering where we gave up physical things that we didn't need because everything belongs to Yah. It's all His. It's all His provision and protection and blessing. And we stood around and we shared testimony with one another.
It was
And
powerful.
super powerful. And then you fast forward to Shavuot, which we just observed this past Sunday, where it's a feast. It's a high holy day. You fellowship and you hang out and you praise Yah and you give thanks for all of His provision and protection and blessing. And then you fast forward to the fall feast. That wheat, amen, right? You had wheat to bring, praise Yah. And then you fast forward to the fall feast where you have atonement. And atonement is a day of reflection of where am I messing up at 1 min. How do I eliminate this sin in my life? What do I need to teshuva? What do I need to repent back to Yeshua? What do I need to give over to Yah so I can come back into His presence, right? And then you have trumpets. And trumpets is a super high holy day where we announce the coming of Messiah. We blow our shofars and we party and we rejoice with our people. And then we have Sukkot, the Festival of Tabernacles, where we dwell together with our people in unity with Yah. We come together, and it's an 8-day party. It's an 8-day festival. And the whole idea that there's this burden of the law comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of the Pharisee Shaul of Tarsus, a.k.a. Paul, in the New Testament, because y'all people have never read Deuteronomy 27 and you don't understand what he's talking about when he talks about the curse of the Torah. It is the ramifications for transgressing the law of God. If you climb up onto your roof and jump off of it, you've transgressed the law of gravity and you've broken your legs. Now, Bob doesn't believe in gravity, but the rest of us do. And it doesn't matter
That's
whether
not true.
it doesn't matter whether or not
That's
you
not
believe in
true.
it. If you jump off of your roof, you'll break your legs and you suffer the curse of transgression of the law. Okay? It's the same thing with the Torah. You don't have to believe in it or not, it just is. And if you transgress the Torah, you suffer the curse of the Torah. Conversely, there are blessings of the Torah. If you diligently obey my voice, Deuteronomy 28, then you will be blessed. And here's all the listings of all the blessings that you will encounter because of your diligence and obedience. And lastly, we don't do this because we're justified by our works. We're justified by our faith in Yeshua. But you have to understand the difference between a Hebrew understanding and a Greek understanding. A Greek understanding is that logos with our mind, I believe with my mind. If I can wrap my mind around it, I believe. Horseshit. The Hebrew understanding is I believe, therefore I do. With my actions. That's why James says, you say you have faith, I will show you my faith by my works. And so we don't do Torah because it makes us righteous people that brings us into the presence of the Father, and therefore we're justified by our works. We do Torah because we are obedient to our Messiah who shed his blood for us so that we could come home to the Father again. And he said, if you love me, keep my commands. And so we keep his commands. I and the Father are one. I give you no new doctrine but what the Father gave to me. How shall I enter into everlasting life? Obey the commands. If you wish to enter into everlasting life, obey the commands. Rabbi, what shall I do to have everlasting life? First of all, why do you call me good? No one is good but Elohim. Matthew 19:17. If you wish to enter into life, guard the commands. Go all the way forward to Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. And here are the saints who can enter into the city and the tree of life. Those that have a testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach and keep the commands.
And
Yeshua both do both of them.
both of them.
And so coming all the way back around to the Antichrist. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2.
Man of
It says explicitly who is the Antichrist. The Antichrist is the man of lawlessness. And unfortunately, billions of people bow down to him every Sunday, the day of pagan worship of the sun, thinking that they're covered by blood, and they're not. And I know those are strong words, but I don't want y'all to die. And again, we might disagree, and that's okay. My challenge to you would be, rebuke me with scripture in context, and I'll consider your rebuke. Diatribe. I apologize.
Man, that was fire, bro.
Praise you.
Great job.
I didn't say that I didn't believe in gravity.
I
Now we
gotta
got
hear the
people in the
backstory.
chat saying, yeah, gravity's a lie. Bob's right. No, I don't agree with you. Stop assuming what I believe. You don't know me, Internet.
That is so rubber.
Damn you, Katie. She's like, here's Bob's number. Call him and tell him about how you guys don't believe in gravity.
Go stay up till 5 in the morning.
202-555-1212.
867-5309.
Nice.
Just FaceTime him. He loves that.
Here's his address. Go to his house. He really loves unexpected guests.
No, he doesn't.
Don't do
Zoom
that.
call.
Oh my goodness. All right, Bear fam, what else we got?
Battle dog.
Why were the scrolls written in Hebrew hidden only to be found thousands of years later? Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret matters belong to Elohim, but to us and our children forever remains the keeping of this Torah. I don't know.
Smoked.
But think about how fortunate we are that we are one of only a handful of generations that have ever existed that have unfettered access to the Word of Yah. I don't know why those scrolls were hidden for thousands of years. I know you can download the Scriptures app for free on the Bible app. I know that if you go to grindstoneministries.com, I'll send you a copy of the Scriptures for free. I know that if you go to any hotel and open the top drawer of the end table, there's a free Bible that the Gideons put in there. Like, you have the Bible, read it, do what it says. It's as simple as that. Hey, there's a book right there, that top book right there. Yeah, can you hand it to me?
The docu is not for you.
Super good book. If y'all haven't read it, you should. The Didache, or the Didache, right here. I'll read you what it says on the back of the book. The Didache is a manual written by the early Christians, a breakaway sect of Judaism. Oh, let me read that again. A manual written by the early Christians, a breakaway sect of Judaism, instructing converts on how to be Christians and how to conduct themselves in daily life. It is a magnificent view of the beliefs and rituals of the earliest form of Christianity as propagated by those who knew Yeshua best, his brother and the original apostles. By the time of the Roman massacres of the Jews, 66 to 70 CE, there were three major divisions in early Christianity: the original Jewish Christians, the Gnostic Christians, and the quickly growing Pauline sect that was breaking away from its more formal Jewish roots. There was a 1 in 3 chance of the Pauline sect becoming a template of the Christianity today. Had the war between the Romans and the Jews not happened, or had Paul failed to convert enough Gentiles to his sect to outnumber those who followed James, we could have a Messianic Jewish-based Christianity today. Our canon and our worship would be different, but because it would have been accepted, orthodox and traditional, Christians would follow it as they follow the Pauline sect now. It is only by chance or by the hand of God, according to your view, that the Didache is not still in use as the main document of catechism today. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that spiel about the Pauline doctrine, because if you read Paul and you know Torah, Paul makes absolutely perfect sense. If you abuse Paul and you decide to make up your own rules and regulations, you end up with 38,000 different sects of Christianity. The point here is, this is the book of worship that the 12 apostles were using immediately after the death of Yeshua, and confirmed historically. Very likely written by James the Just, Yeshua's brother. And it eerily mirrors the book of James. If you want to know what did true unadulterated Christendom look like, true worship of Yeshua look like, you should read the Didache. This is put out by Joseph B. Lumpkin, and really good book. Didache. Didache. So, there you go. What other questions we got? What other comments we got?
9:11 assumes that I believe the way it goes.
What does it mean being unclean till evening? Leviticus 11.
Exactly that.
It means
Exactly what it
that.
says.
It means that you have an uncleanness on you, and it's like, you ever come into contact with something and you're like, oh man, I got really filthy. Yeah, you're unclean until evening. That's exactly what it means.
But there's other times that it just says you're unclean.
Correct. And usually that's for a period of 7 days. If it's unspecified. But it's almost always specified.
Yeah.
So, but it's basic stuff. If you touch blood or bodily fluid or unclean flesh, yeah, you're unclean. Go wash your hands. Stay away from everybody else until evening so you don't get anybody else sick. Because again, parasitical cul-de-sacs. Like rabbits, lots of people eat rabbits. Eat a rabbit in the summer when it's full of tapeworms. Gross. You gonna go touch that? Guess what you have now? Tapeworms. Wash your dirty ass and stay away from everybody until sundown.
Wash your dirty ass.
Yep. Is it referenced anywhere that people in large will become more spiritual in end times? No, it's the opposite. There will be a great falling away in end times, and
That's prophesied.
spiritual is a interesting choice of words. There's lots of spirits. There's only one Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy
Period.
Spirit.
That's right.
There's a lot of ways to go wrong, and a lot of spirituality is utter horseshit. So read John chapter 16 if you want to know what the Holy Spirit does. And in fact, John instructs elsewhere that you should try spirits. I believe it's in 1 John. To make sure that the spirit that you're being led by is the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit.
That's the score.
I've been told that out west rabbit carry Ebola at certain times so no one eats them. Yeah. You know why else? They're parasitical cul-de-sacs. I also don't eat the filter out of my shop vac.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's
Yeah.
up, Mad Kel? Shalom. Hudson Valley. I'm familiar with the Hudson Valley. Fine line between funny and ignorant. Agreed. False prophet, question mark. Pope uniting Islam and Catholicism. We think so. Beast equals AI, modern day golden calf.
Probably.
So, the Pope is not... What Catholicism has become is so far from the teachings of Yeshua that they're not the same thing anymore. And Yeshua explicitly says, call no man father but your Father in heaven. What is the Pope referred to as? Holy Father? That right there is a direct violation of Yeshua. He also wears a penis on his head. The mitre. And that's what that is. It's a phallus.
It is, bro.
That's what it is. He's got a dick on his forehead, and everybody's like, oh, he's so holy and pious. Like, no, this is pagan fertility
sits in a
worship.
chamber that is the mouth of a serpent. Like,
Yeah.
What
yeah.
religion has more fucking chomos in it than Catholicism?
Yeah, it's a mess.
SpongeBob.
Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life for you. Transubstantiation, huge question, which we're not getting into these doctrines right now.
I know,
had a
everybody's
big
trying to
on.
go, like, all over the place.
Bear, your beard is covering your microphone. My microphone's on my phone, and my beard is not that long. So,
But if it was, it'd be cool.
when your beard grows out instead of down.
Hashtag block it.
That's called gravity. That's why it goes down.
It's density.
why were some books removed from the Bible? So canonical texts became non-canonical texts. The Eastern Orthodox Church still has an 88-book canon. The Western Orthodox Church and everything downstream from there, including Lutheranism and now Evangelicalism and everything else, has a 66-book canonical text with 22 books removed, because those books that were removed, those 22 books, did not support the doctrines that were being built around who they believed Messiah was. So they removed them. That's why. And also,
Yeah, research that.
especially you get into the, not the early church fathers, but the second and third generation church fathers, as the doctrine of Christianity was being developed, which, by the way, all of church history after about 200 AD is basically, this guy said this thing, this other guy said this other thing, and then we fought about it, and so we had a papal schism and or a crusade / war, and or we started some more denominations. It's people arguing about what people said, not people midrashing, discussing what Messiah said. That in of itself puts the lie to everything these people have to say, as far as I'm concerned. Well, Luther said this, and Calvin said this, and Pope Julius said this, and then there was the Council of Nicaea, and then this happened. But who cares? What did Yeshua say? Do what Yeshua said. Like, that's what you should do, because the Pope is not going to judge you at the end of an age. Calvin and Luther are not going to judge you at the end of an age. Augustine will not be there at the end of an age judging you. Yeshua, you will stand in front of Yah with Yeshua as your intercessor, and everything you've ever done will be brought out in the book of life, and you will be addressed, and you will weep, and you will bend the knee, and you will confess. And the only way you get out of that alive is because Yeshua is your intercessor.
Yeah.
The Pope won't be there.
Mother Mary ain't gonna be there.
I don't give a flying shit what the Pope said. He won't be there. I don't care. Now, is it interesting what Luther said and what Calvin said and what Augustine said? Yeah, it's interesting. But listen, I listen to a lot of church history lectures and a lot of rabbinical lectures and that, because I like learning. But it's all men arguing about what other men said about the divine, not what the divine said. We're not discussing what the divine said. We're arguing about what men said about the divine. And that is just a recipe for trouble as far as I'm concerned.
Except for all, bro.
Nope.
Oh, bro. I'll go with you.
Good stick, Bob. Thank you.
I didn't see that.
I know, I need to, like, put screen on the aquariums, because those frogs might freaking come out
Oh,
while
the
we're
frogs are going to
gone.
jump out of the aquariums?
They might.
Well, we'll just let Katie Lynn chase them down.
That's right.
What's up, Harvey Black?
Sort of trampling with everybody else to get away.
Appreciate you. What's up, Saws?
That's right, Matt Kelly.
Yeah, man. This live stream, definitely see the beginning for context. I think.
Yeah, I just told Jay Morris he was going to have to replay because he was asking questions.
I think for the last 40 minutes, we've kind of been on a diatribe on Yeshua, the law, obedience, and the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And papal schisms. You pulled the pull string on the back of the bear, and I'm just going.
Cool, Ted.
That's
My
awesome,
bear-
man.
Awesome, Ted.
Oh, my phone's about to die.
Spiritually and church attendance
Make
can go hand in hand with
Ted,
the
make sure you
spiritual
stage that tourniquet.
one. Stage the TQ, right?
Outhouse is still an outhouse.
That's right.
There's not much
What's up,
that goes
John
on
Ishii?
with it.
Did somebody ask what's back there?
No, Jay Morris said, any update on Oklahoma's finest outhouse?
It's a box that you boot.
Whoa, where'd the panis come from? Oh, Dudley.
No, attack Panda.
My phone's
It's
about
not
to
a
die.
duddle.
D
I
Brand,
have
it's
it.
okay because I learned so much when you get on that particular topic. Thank all of you. I like seeing 819 watching, but someone let all the fake name, no profile trolls in tonight. Hey man, it is what it is.
That'll happen. Maybe they'll learn.
What's up, Andy Barnes? Shalom, brother.
We swipe them when we can.
This too.
Do we ever come to North Carolina? I don't think we've done a class in North
Yes,
Carolina
you
yet.
went to Charlotte.
We went to Charlotte. That's right.
Charlotte, not Charlotte, because it was really
Outside
more
of
like
Charlotte.
Raleigh.
We don't quite get like in the immediate metropolitan areas. We try and stay outside of them if we can. We want to be close enough that there's a large enough population base to come to class, but not so close that we have to like worry about getting mugged while we're there. So
Oh,
I don't worry about getting
Oh,
mugged
yeah.
anymore.
Tomorrow set the
Same.
string
Or
should
just
do
like
this.
get in a gunfight.
not with knife hand action.
That's the new edition.
Lexington, North Carolina. There you
Big
go,
action
RL.
figure.
Bear, come to
Action
Kentucky.
figure.
I was in Mayfield, bro.
Pull
So,
the string and say
I just,
Yep.
Bear, your name goes far and wide.
Bear, your name goes.
No,
far
I'm
and
just
wide.
saying that as
Stogie recommendations. Oh man, it's like super personal. Like some people like Steel or Husqvarna, Budweiser or Coors or Miller, Ford or Chevy or Dodge. You know, blondes, brunettes or redheads. You know, like what do you like? Because I like a bunch of cigars that people don't like, and a bunch of people like cigars that I don't like. So I don't know.
Lagunitas.
You can't go wrong with Tuesdays.
Yeah, Drew Estate. Did something from Drew Estate. The Tabaka Special by Drew Estate is phenomenal. You'll be well served. But yeah, pretty much anything Drew Estate makes, or anything from Deadwood Tobacco Company, is phenomenal.
Yep. Yeah.
Bob the Troll. Somebody schwack Bob.
No, I'm right here.
I mean, like real life, get him.
No, seriously.
Good coffee dip cigar. Jimmy James, M by Macanudo. Delicious cigar. Hard to find right now though.
So,
M by Macanudo.
That makes you want that coffee
Those
house
CI
cigar.
knockoffs, they make a coffee that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's not, and it's cheap.
Is not shaving growing the beard from Torah. So there's an interesting command in Leviticus 19 that says, round not the corners of your beard. And the whole idea of Leviticus 19 is the Mishpatim Torah portion, which basically means be set apart. Here's how you be set apart, okay? And it talks about the Father's chosen people doing things differently than everybody else does. And one of those things is round not the corners of your beard. And that's because, like, if you've ever seen, like, an Egyptian pharaoh where they had this long, pointy beard down the center of their face, well, it was to differentiate the Hebrews from the Egyptians. Now, the Hasidim, or the Hasidot, depending on who you ask, Hasidic Jews, they think the corner of their beard is up here by their ears, and so they have the long curly pieces right here of hair that they let grow. We just grow beards, and elsewhere in the Bible, anytime you see the men of Israel shaving their beards, it's always to their shame. They've always gone into captivity, they've always been defeated by an enemy, or they've transgressed the word of Yah. In one case, the Babylonians shaved 1/2 of the men's head and beards. Oh yeah, dude, terrible.
Can you imagine that?
And what happens? There's a servant of the king of Judah, I believe it is, that hides them away so that their beards can grow back, so that they're not walking around in shame without their beards. And so there's just a biblical precedent for grow a beard. And also, like, I've been asked this several times, like, hey, how long are you gonna let your beard get? I'm like, nobody walks up to a lion and is like, yo, dude, why's your mane so big? Like, it just is. like, you know what I mean? It just is. You're like, of course he has a mane. He's a freaking lion. Like, of course he has a beard. He's a man. You know, like, there's two categories of people that don't have beards: women and children. That's it. Like, other than that, grow a beard.
If you don't have a beard, what is it?
Dr. Wilkins, if your dad has a beard, you have two moms.
If your dad doesn't have a beard, you have 2 moms.
That's it.
Does that mean I have two dads? Well, your mom might need to shave, Purdy.
If you don't have a beard, you're in the women and children category.
Nah, and I say that tongue in cheek. I mean, I know brothers that, like, especially like our Native American brothers, like, they can't grow beards. Like, they want to, but they can't.
Oh,
Okay,
look at that bat
got
right
it.
there.
A bat?
Yeah.
No, that's a big moth.
Yeah.
It's a mammoth moth.
But
I was like, damn, there's a bat.
I can grow a beard, so I do. And
Catch
sometimes
it.
it's
Catch it, Bob.
shorter than this.
Come on, catch it.
Sometimes it's
Get up on your chair
longer.
and catch
But,
it.
you know,
Come
just
on.
is what it is. Again, like I said, nobody looks at a lion and says, why is his mane so big? It just is. So. Did you coo him to Bearistan? Yes, Bug Out Bob did coo him to Bearistan.
No, this is a green screen. I'm being patched in right now.
Yeah,
I'm still in Chicago.
We are really good at Skyping.
This is that new tech.
Shave mine today. What's up, Snowbird?
360 green screen.
To do gas mask stuff feels weird. So that's the one, like, so a lot of times
I'm with you on that.
when we're dealing with, like, the public sector, you know, like law enforcement, fire, EMS, where they have to wear, like, SCBA gear, you know, breathing apparatus. Yeah, you know, that's why, like, a lot of firefighters have mustaches but no beards. It's like because they need the seal so that the mask will fit over their face. Snowbird, you're gonna be in Camden? Did I see that correctly? Snowbird in Camden? Question mark.
I see nothing.
See nothing either. I think he's gonna be there. Negative. Turned around by CBP for not having that needle and that other needle. Oh, dude, that is horrendous. I was looking forward to meeting you, man. I've got your contact info, so I'm gonna reach out to you. We're gonna set something up, but that sucks. I was looking forward to meeting you.
Is that a West Coast snowbird?
No, he's north of the imaginary line in the snow.
Nice.
Yep. That's
That
terrible.
Sucks.
That's terrible.
No. Hope so.
Medical tyranny.
Hope so.
Division.
What's up, Cole Cochran? What's up, Nick B? Thank you for the inspiration. Put in a massive garden, 100 by 50 with high density. Purchased a freeze dryer for a small business doing the things. Awesome. Scribbles
Good
good.
job, buddy.
That's awesome. Bear, what are your thoughts on angels? They're 100% real. Read the book and do what it says.
There's good ones and bad
Yep.
ones.
Yeah. That's exactly right. There's good ones and bad ones.
They don't
I think
look
the
how
good
you
ones are
think they
scarier
look.
than the bad
Well,
ones.
and remember, Hasatan masquerades as a child of light.
Right.
And that's like a big deal. So, right, Okie, me too. I'm a little sad now. That was on my list of people to meet. Me too.
Read Enoch, it'll blow your mind.
Oh yeah, Enoch will 100% blow your mind.
Yeah,
You know
they
what-
were already talking about Enoch too.
You know what will definitely blow your mind? Seeing a seraphim in person.
Ooh,
Dude, terrifying.
So
Seen
somebody
one.
just asked,
I'll tell you.
what are your
I gotta
thoughts
hear
on
that.
angels?
Like after, we're not going home, so we hear that.
Yeah.
This is a good question.
Somebody just asked, what are your thoughts
I
on
was
angels?
just telling you.
Oh,
They're real.
yeah.
How does a
Something
young
like that.
adult start a business?
How does a young adult start a business? The same way anybody starts a business.
Yep. Get out there and do it.
Businesses don't sell products. Businesses don't generate revenue. Businesses solve problems. And the more problems you solve, the more revenue you will generate. And so you need to, 100% need to provide value with your products and services. And if you don't provide value with your products and services, you're going to have a very short-lived business.
Yeah, you won't have any success.
Also, I think you need to manage your expectations because entrepreneurship is like a super cool thing to do right now. And I'll be the first person to tell you it's a lot of effing work. Entrepreneurship is when you stop working 40, 60, 70 hours a week for somebody else and start working 168 hours a week for yourself. Okay? It's a lot of work. And
The kickoff is, but the return is good if you're successful.
100%. But I will also tell you, do not go into debt.
Nope.
Don't take out a line of credit. Don't get a loan, a personal loan from your mom, your dad, your
Do
cousin,
live out
your
before
friends.
you go into that.
Go generate revenue. Okay? And so businesses should start for most people with a pivot from what you're doing to what you want to be doing. You use what you're doing to fund what you want to be doing. By the way,
Oh man.
businesses still pivot.
Yep.
Like, we could pivot right now from Refuge Medical to something else because we use the revenue from Refuge Medical to move on to the next thing, right? And so start with a pivot. The first thing you need is revenue, not debt. If you service a debt load, whatever revenue you have coming in, you're going to have to pay that debt load, which means you're going to have to either now become volume-based, where you have to sell X number of volume just to meet your minimum sales goals, which means you're going to start compromising your product, or you're going to go out of business. So don't go into debt. Start small. Be sustainable. Solve people's problems. Always operate with honesty and integrity. If you make a mistake, admit it. If you're backstocked on something, admit it. If you have issues, admit it. If you have the best product in the world, admit it. And start small. And literally, it says in the Bible, rejoice in your small beginnings. Who amongst you would not rejoice in your small beginnings?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, like, that first $1,000 sale, woo! Like, that's huge, right? And like, yeah, I want to be a multi-million-dollar per year entrepreneur, and I want my Lambo, and F all that bullshit.
That $1,000 goes back into your business.
That's exactly right. That $1,000
100%.
goes back.
I'm wearing my
Today,
first $1,000 sale.
Today, Refuge Medical is 2.5 years old. We are on 4 continents with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, thousands of law enforcement officers, EMS, fire, civilians, 42 lives saved to date. I do not pull a salary from Refuge Medical. True or untrue?
True.
True. I don't pull a salary from Refuge Medical.
That's real.
Like, as Bob would say, that's super real.
That checks out.
Checks out.
Seen it.
I don't make a salary from Refuge. You reinvest in the business, and you reinvest, and you reinvest, and you reinvest. And it doesn't mean you don't have big goals. You should definitely have big goals. I love big, ugly goals.
Yeah.
But the way you accomplish big, ugly goals on the strategic level is discipline on the tactical level and executing on the tactical level. You have to break it down into bite-sized pieces. If I need to sell, I don't know, we'll pick a number. I have to do $10,000 a month in sales. Okay, what does that work out to? That's $300 a day in sales, right? So how do I get $300 a day in sales? What does that work out to in the number of hours I'm going to work? I'm going to work 10 hours a day. Okay, that's $30 an hour in sales. How do I generate $30 an hour in sales? Right? Break it down into bite-sized pieces. And then execute, and freaking grind, man. And another really good piece of advice that I've gotten is, don't quit. But you can quit for a day. If you're having a day, you can quit for Tuesday. You just got to go back on Wednesday. Don't quit forever. But sometimes you need to tactically advance in the opposite direction.
And you're gonna have to grind by yourself for a while. You're gonna have to grind by yourself for a while until you get others to start grinding with you, and then others to grind with you, and then more hands make light work. So
Agreed.
you're grinding your butt off for those 30 hours, or those 10 hours for that day.
And if you build a good business, and again, coming back to your problem solving, what is your mission statement? What are you trying to do, right? What's the mission statement of refuge? To save lives while in service to the Father's kingdom and experiencing the abundance of His provision and blessing.
Yeah.
So,
Doing it.
coming back around to ideological alignment, if you have a good business, you do good work, you have a good product, you operate with honesty and integrity, you let your yes be yes and your no be no, and you grind, that vibe will attract other killers to your business. Other people that have ideological buy-in for what you're doing, that maybe you can't offer $100,000 a year for somebody to come on your team, but you can offer this, whatever this may be, and people would rather make X or working for a business with honesty and integrity than making Y doing something that they don't believe in. So
That's why we got 42 lives saved instead of 42 yachts.
that's right, 42 lives saved instead of 42 yachts, right? And like, anyway, so that it's all just basic business advice. And there's beware the leaven of the Pharisees, man. There are a lot. Entrepreneurship is cool right now. I'm telling you, within the next year, it's going to get uncool. And here's why. Because the easy money is drying up. And a lot of these entrepreneurs have built their businesses on lines of credit and debt. And that's not going to work. It's going to go away. And all of a sudden, it won't be cool to be an entrepreneur anymore because you're going to have to grind. But if you can grind it out, make sales, hit your numbers, solve problems for people. There must be some blue wrench shit going on over there. But if you can grind it out, going into the economic period that we're going into, there's actually a lot of opportunity for you. Because a lot of people, a lot of businesses are going to go under in the next 12 to 24 months because that easy money is going to go away. That actually eliminates competition for you, gives you more room to maneuver in the market space. So.
People think that the guy's white.
People are like, where's Renee? And we're just like, she's gone. She's never coming back.
And Renee's dead. I did like the skull face.
D.L. Hemingway, interesting question. Does artwork showing animals, plants, and people violate the commandment about graven image? So, this was actually what caused the Papal Schism. It's actually why we now have an Eastern Orthodox Church and a Western Orthodox Church. It's called iconoclasm, icons. And the Western Church, the papacy, basically said, we don't worship icons. We use icons to meditate on the divinity of God, which brings us closer to Him. Right? So we have objects that we venerate, not because they are objects, not because of the objects themselves, but because of how they bring us to a greater understanding and bring us closer to the Creator. And the Eastern Church said, that's cute, F all that S, we're not doing that, you shouldn't do it anyway. And that's where that particular Papal Schism came from. Eastern Orthodox Church, Western Orthodox Church. I don't know, man. My wife and grandma paint beautiful paintings. Absolutely gorgeous paintings. They're not graven images. We don't worship them. And
No, every time I paint, it's because Yah makes me paint.
there you go. Every time you paint, it's because Yah makes you paint. Just like every time a worship singer sings, it's because Yah says open your mouth, right? And so it's a gifting. Like you have an awesome gifting to be able to paint like that and to capture some of that beauty in Yah's creation. And we appreciate them, but we don't worship them.
Right.
That's exactly right, Tabar. Appreciation versus worship. We appreciate them, but we don't worship them. And so again, like where's your mind at? Where's your heart at when you're doing these things? So Jimmy James, she's literally wearing a Bob Ross shirt right now.
I was just gonna type it. Damn
She's
it.
literally wearing a Bob Ross shirt right now.
Happy little trees.
See, my daughter realized
It says it at the bottom.
New Sonoma area.
But
Oh, really?
I messed up and got it like on dark purple, so you
Really?
can't see it.
Wow.
Happy trees.
So,
The Father loves to create.
yep.
We're made in His image. We have
Right.
creative aspects to us. Why would we not make cool stuff in His honor?
Yep.
If anything, it pisses me off because I can't capture the awesomeness of his creation when I paint.
Yeah, right.
And
I'm
like you
sure.
can't get those like minute details, and it
intricacies, yeah.
it irritates me. That's why half of my paintings are half done.
I totally get that. Like I have an album in my mind already written unto Yah. I can't get it out of my head with my hands on the guitar. But like I hear it, it's in here. I know it. It's there. I know what it sounds like. But every time, even when I begin to approach what it's supposed to sound like, it's not
It's not it.
all the way there.
No.
Like it's not all the way there. So, I mean, it almost reminds me of that movie Amadeus. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh,
About
amazing movie.
yeah, about Mozart.
Oh, dude,
Salieri.
so good. Yeah.
Dude, from now on we are enemies, you and I. Dude, it's phenomenal.
Dude, such a good
Yeah,
movie.
awesome movie.
Oh, now I gotta watch it.
They used to play that when I lived in New York on WPIX 11 on the movie night, like on Sunday night movies. It's like once a month Amadeus was on.
Dude, so like being a piano player, I loved that movie because it showed like the dark side of creation, like envy of
Yep.
other just geniuses. And oh, dude, it's so good. It's so fire. If you haven't seen Amadeus, you should watch it. It's an interesting movie.
It's an awesome movie.
Plus, it gives you a lot of insight behind Mozart, and
Yep.
then he's kind of like a G. Of
Yeah.
what he did.
Well, that's where when it starts with Salieri in the old folks' home, the solarium or whatever it is, and he writes a little march for Mozart coming in, and Mozart comes in. He's like, "Oh, that's cute. Maybe you should play it like this." And then he reverses hands, and maybe like this. And he flips upside down and he's playing by. Maybe we should do one of these. Or what if we make it a 5/4 tempo instead of a 4/4? And Salieri is like, "You MF."
Yep.
Yeah.
Just shits on him.
Yep. From now on, we are enemies.
Yeah.
You and I. And he's talking to God.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you would put this gifting into this man that does not love you or represent you, you would give him this, how could I be friends with you, God? From now on, we are enemies, you and I.
Wow.
It's deep, man.
Dude, it's
It's deep.
Dude. I'm gonna go home and rewatch that.
Spider?
I don't know what it was.
Jen and Steve's homestead. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Something
There's,
weird that landed on my face.
Thanks for saving me.
You're welcome.
Well, we're 2.5 hours in. I'm gonna call it a live stream. I appreciate
Yeah.
y'all, Bear Nation.
We got
I'll see you in the
Early
morning for the
morning.
brief early, and then I gotta get on the road
early.
early. And that's gonna do that. So, thank y'all for being here. Y'all have a blessed evening. Shalom.